Hi there, my name is FixFox and welcome to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Folks, it's the beginning of a new chapter. It's the beginning of a new book. It's the beginning of a new library. How much Olden Era can we enjoy as the years will go on? Time is going to tell, because each and every entry into the Heroes of Might and Magic series has been excellent in one way or another. They've all been different. They've all had a different touch and taste to it, a different flavor. They've brought different mechanics. They've brought in different audiences, and certain parts of different games have appealed to different people. And that's just fine to me. Will you love Olden Era? Will I love Olden Era? I'm excited to find out. Welcome to the tutorial. We're going to teach you the basics of the game. To begin, close this dialog by clicking the left mouse button on the window. You got it. This is the global adventure map. I call it the adventure map. They call this the global map. When you enter the game, you will find yourself on the global map, the game world where various objects, locations, and enemy forces are scattered. By default, most of this map is covered by the fog of war. Pretty standard mechanic that we have in a lot of these Heroes games. Visual effect that obscures the landscape and hides objects. To lift the fog, you must move your heroes, revealing new areas and interacting with special objects that uncover more of the world. To move a hero, double-click on the map using your left mouse button. The first click will mark your path, and the second will confirm it to send your selected hero on the march. Movement consumes heroes' movement points. Depending on what you're pointing at, the mouse cursor will change to indicate available options or warn you if movement is impossible. During the game, you will encounter large territories that cannot fit entirely on the screen. At any time, you can move the mouse to see the part of the map that you want to. And to do this, use any of the following. You can hold the right mouse button and drag the cursor. You can use the W, A, S, and D keys, or you can click on the mini map. And you, of course, can just move your cursor to the edges of the screen, and you'll start panning to that side of the map. You can only plot a route through areas that have not been hidden by the fog of war. Yes, yes, good, good. Depending on the movement target, the route will be highlighted in different colors. We've got green, gray, and this kind of red indicator here. Green is a regular route that the hero can fully travel this turn. Gray means that we have run out of movement points, and red means that we will end this movement in battle with an enemy squad or garrison. They're doing a good job. They are assuming you know nothing. I feel like the Unfrozen team and Hooded Horse have decided that they are trying to make this game as wildly and widely accessible to as many people as possible, and so you need a good tutorial to make that happen. This truly is the basics. Now that you've learned the basics of movement, make your way to the marked checkpoint. You can always view the active tasks in the upper right of the screen. So they've indicated we need to go here. First off, if this is the first look that you've had of the Olden Era interface, here I will show you, we have at the very top, this is your resource bar. If you're familiar with Heroes 2 or Heroes 3, generally everything was in this kind of area, and you only had a viewing window that sat in this sort of area in the middle, and on the right-hand side was everything. It's taken me a little bit of time to get muscle memory to know where things are at here so far, but you got resources at the top. You have things like your faction law points up here. Magic's up here. Your list of heroes will be on the left-hand side. Your castles will be in little bubbles on the right-hand side. At the bottom is the hero that you currently have selected and whatever forces they have below them in that army. You have your mini-map in the bottom left corner. As you can see, I am scrolling by moving around on this little map here. And I can also click on the adventure map to move things however I would so desire. If I was not selected on this hero, I would have to select them by clicking on them. I can either click on the portrait or I can click on the hero themselves. And when I double click on the portrait, it will bring up an interface that looks fairly familiar with some of the other Heroes of Might and Magic games that you might have played. So we have our hero here, John Johnson the Knight, with 2 attack, 2 defense, 1 spell power, 1 knowledge. He's got no luck and no extra morale. He currently has 200 movement points out of the 200 total possible. He's got 900 out of 1,000 experience, and he's got 20 mana points out of 20 mana points. This is his inventory, where artifacts that he finds on the adventure map can go into, and below all of that is his army. This are his forces. He's currently got 42 of these swordsmen. The number of soldiers or creatures is denoted in the upper left corner. This says 42. Right here is their HP, so each swordsman has 12 hit points. 12 hit points times 42 creatures, that's how many hit points are in the stack, and every time the threshold of 12 hit points is reached, 1 swordsman will be removed from the stack, going down from 42 down to 41, 40, 39, 38, and so on and so forth. These heroes, or rather these units, have some of their own stats. They have attack skill, defense, damage, morale, luck, initiative, and speed. And they also have abilities. For example, this hero, or rather this creature, is known as a living hero. That means that some spells will affect them, whereas if they were an undead creature or a non-living creature, maybe some spells wouldn't affect them. They also are privy to things like morale and luck. This is denoted as being a melee unit. This swordsman stack can only attack creatures that are adjacent to them on the battlefield. We will get to that in just a moment. And as a special bonus, this troop has a ranged defense, so they will always take 30% ranged damage, making them pretty good for trying to take down some enemy creatures. In the future, we're going to click on this upgrade, but for now, I think that we're just going to stick to what the tutorial has for us. In the upper right here, it says move to the marked area. So we're going to left click to kind of chart our path, and we can double click here to move on. And our goal is to get all the way over here, but look, we're only gonna be able to move to here, and then we're gonna be out of movement points. If I click on John Johnson again, it indicates we have 92 out of 200 movement points. On the left-hand side of his portrait in this blue section is his mana, and on the right hand is his movement point. So his movement point bar is mostly depleted. We're gonna click again and watch the movement bar here go down even further. And now he is completely out of movement points. Your hero can no longer move. All movement points have been used up. Vammy is in the chat. Hello, FixFox. Hey, Vammy. Nice to have you here. Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you here, Vammy, for some Olden Era. And Chris is going to be right back with some changing, with some new devices. Very good. Okay. Your hero can no longer move. All movement points have been moved up or used up. Click the large round button at the bottom right of the screen to start a new day. Your hero will fully restore movement points and can continue moving. So with it being a turn-based strategy game, lots of things will, as with every Heroes Might and Magic game, replenish from day to day and week to week, and not really month to month, but day to day and week to week. You will move from one turn to the next by clicking the little hourglass here. This below the hourglass indicates that it's currently month 1, week 1, day 1, and we're going to click this button and we're going to go on to month 1, week 1 into day 2. Great, your hero's movement points have been fully restored. Keep moving to the marked square. So we shall click. Well done on completing the first task. Now proceed to the next checkpoint along the road. It will help your hero move faster. Click on the next check mark. Okay, there's a road here. Now, there was not a road up in this area. We were just kind of wandering through the wilderness, but now we have a road. If you're traveling on road, you will go faster. I'm still figuring out exactly how much faster you will go. It's different from Heroes of Might and Magic game to game, but in this case, we do know that we do move faster on roads. We've discovered an interactive object, the Redwood Observatory. Oh, it's a fan favorite. Everybody loves the Redwood Observatory. If you don't love the Redwood Observatory, get out of here. It's one of the best interactable objects on the entire adventure map, no matter what game you're playing. It's a special structure that will remove the fog of war in a large radius around it. And throughout the game, you will encounter many interactive objects. To learn what each does, simply hover your cursor over them. Interact with the Redwood Observatory to continue this tutorial. To do this, double click with the left mouse button. They've highlighted this Redwood Observatory for us. If I just mouse over, it'll say it removes the fog of war in a large radius around it. And it says under that, a little bit of flavor text, it says it's better than climbing a random tree. So let's go up to this. You've uncovered a large area of the map, revealing new objects. The passage ahead is guarded by an enemy, and piles of gold lie scattered nearby. Before attacking the enemy and moving on, collect all the gold around you. As you do so, the current amount of each resource will be displayed in the resource panel at the top of the screen. So we got a couple piles of gold, and it says it'll give between 400 to 800 piles of gold. Everybody likes gold, and we need to apparently collect 5,000 gold. We are out of movement points, on to a new day. This is your first time, Vammy, of seeing any of the Olden Era gameplay. So I will tell you that, yeah, I've got, as I mentioned before, I've got about 40 hours in the version available to people who have been longtime members of the Unfrozen Discord. I've really enjoyed it there. This is the first instance I've had, the first time I've been able to play this new demo, and so far I'm liking it. We're trying to just slowly go through it. We're going to turn over every stone. We're going to go real slow at the beginning, but I got a feeling that we're going to pick up the pace very, very quickly. Keep going and plot a route to the squad blocking your path. The hero will start a battle as soon as he steps onto the square adjacent to that squad. So we've got a group of This looks like not Infernal Troglodytes. Yeah, that's Infernal Troglodytes. It's an easy battle, 10 to 19. And so we're going to go over this little bridge and mosey on our way here. And before we go to do this, I've got two choices. I can keep my swordsmen in one big stack, or I can split them off into single stacks. If you're a longtime veteran, you're going to love this. Boop, 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 boop. Splitting stacks of troops have never been any easier. You can also, rather than do that, you can click right here and you can click combine all creatures into one stack. That is a really useful function, so we can split off single stacks, we can bring everybody back together. Single stacks in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era are critical. You can save yourself oodles and oodles of damage and losses if you utilize single stacks, and we're going to use single stacks effectively as much as possible. Folks, we're into the battle. Battles in Heroes of Might and Magic take place on separate battlefields, divided into hexes, hexagonal spaces. Creatures move across the hexes and engage in combat with enemies. The battles proceed in rounds. Once all stacks, both yours and the enemies, have taken their turn, the next round begins. The sequence of turns is determined by initiative. This is very similar to Heroes of Might and Magic 5, if you're familiar with this. Heroes 3 and 4 didn't really have a bar or initiative so much as a stat, but by Heroes 5 and beyond, I believe that initiative really became a big deal. And so, like Heroes 2, for example, your speed determined your initiative and what turn you went in the battle. Not so here. And I think that this is actually a really nice change for some tactical and strategic creation of units long-term for the health of the game. The higher a creature's initiative value, the earlier their stack will act in each round. You can always check the turn order by looking at the initiative bar at the top of the screen. Before the battle begins, the tactical phase is activated, during which you can adjust the alignment of your troops. To do this, drag any friendly stack within the highlighted area. If you drag a stack onto a hex occupied by another stack, they will swap places. So we have our one stack of 36 swordsmen right here. We're gonna say, hey, we can move them anywhere we want. 36, we want them here, 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 here. In the past, if you have a ranged creature, you tend to try to hide them in the corner and group troops around them. More and more, you're going to find that you really only have 3 spots to kind of hide your troops. And it's a bit of a game of peekaboo, trying to keep the enemies away from you and also make sure that you're protecting your big stacks. When you are ready from this tactic phase, which everybody has access to, you then have the choice to flee, surrender, or just start the battle. In this tutorial, it indicates for enemy movement and attack. The goal of the battle, of course, is to defeat the enemy army, duh. To achieve this, your creatures must attack the enemy troops, melee attacks, long-range attacks, ranged attacks. So melee attacks, we're all familiar with what a melee attack is, and we're all familiar with what a ranged attack is. There's also a long-reach attack. Long-reach attacks generally have 1 hex between the unit that we're talking about and the unit that they're trying to attack. And it does not provoke a retaliation because they're not right next to each other. These Infernal Troglodytes do have a long reach attack. If a stack can't attack at the moment, it can move closer to the enemy. The maximum movement distance does depend on the unit's speed. A creature can both move and attack in the same turn. But it is important to note that any action, an attack, or a move will end the creature's turn unless otherwise specified. There are some indications, there are some times where it won't be specified. When your creatures attack an enemy in melee combat, they may receive a counterattack in response. The number of counterattacks is limited, but usually creatures can attack you only once per round. Troglodytes are one of the units, actually, that have multiple retaliations per round, but it will be indicated when we right-click on these Troglodytes. We're going to take a look at some of their stats so we can get to better know them. We have some options in combat. For example, we can wait or we can skip turn, right? There is a... From Heroes 3, when you skipped your turn or if you just defended with a creature, you would get a bonus, like a +3 to their defense or something like that. When it comes down to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, you do not get a defensive bonus if you skip your turn or if you defend. You only get that bonus if your hero has picked up a certain hero secondary skill or attribute that allows your creatures to get a bonus for that level of defense. So we can wait, in which the stack will delay its action until the end of the current round, allowing others to go first, or we can skip the turn and we will forfeit the action for the round and won't be able to act until the next round. If you skip or if you wait, you do not forfeit your counter attack. So we must manage our troops wisely, and we have an overwhelming force here on our side, and these troglodytes are not going to be able to stand up to this. This is not meant to be the end of your playthrough here. You're supposed to wash over these enemies pretty easily. If you notice, there is 13 troglodytes total. They are a level 1 creature. That's indicated in this upper right corner, tier 1 creature. Of course, we know that our swordsmen are tier 1 creatures, as are these troglodytes. These are magical creatures. They have morale and luck. They count towards necromancy at the end of battle. They have a melee attack in which they attack just right next to each other. That's their primary form of attacking. And they do have a toxic spear. Now, this is specific to this infernal troglodyte. The toxic spear will leave gaping wounds, causing the target to take 25% additional damage until the end of the round. I gotta say, one of the things that Olden Era does really, really well that other Heroes games maybe didn't capitalize on as much as I would have liked is that even the lower level troops that are upgraded can still be a valuable part of your army. If you can have a stack of black dragons, it might be worth it to have 1 or 2 of these little troglodytes beefing up the damage of your dragons by 25%. Like, that actually makes some sense, where 25%, that's a flat 25%. That's always useful at all stages of the game. So really cool that even the tier 1 creatures can be useful even to the end game. And then here's an alternate fighting style. This is the long range attack. Remember that the troglodytes can attack 1 hex away, like right next to them, or they can attack with 1 hex between them and their target, but they will deal only 50% damage. So if you want to trade a little bit of damage but stay safe or be able to attack from afar, these troglodytes do have this long-ranged attack. So their stats are pretty low, their speed, initiative, yes, pretty low. And we're just going to send some troops down the battlefield so that we can get attacked by them pretty quickly. Right now, I'm leaving the speed right where it's at. I prefer to play at 1 speed higher, just because at first you really want to see where everything goes. You want to see the animations. You want to really understand what you're doing as you're doing it. But it doesn't take too long before you kind of know where things are at, kind of like the long-time Heroes 3 players who can just click through a battle in about 3 seconds. That is something that we will eventually get to, but right now we're keeping this on this current speed. So we're taking oodles of damage from these infernal troglodytes. Do note, though, that they are using their long-ranged attack, and so it's a 50% reduced damage. They have gone through the first round of combat. We are now onto this second round of combat, as indicated by the number in this little diamond here. And because these creatures all have 8 initiative, whereas my swordsmen all have 7 initiative, they all have the opportunity to go first. They will get the opportunity to go first in this next round. And remember that as the enemies are fighting us, until we're able to get out from under their counterattack, they're going to have this little orange glow over their health bar. Each of the units in Heroes Might and Magic Olden Era do have a health bar. And so, like it or love it or don't love it, you can always see about what this creature has left in their HP reserves. But as we just attacked that infernal troglodyte, they lost their initiative stack, their counterattack stat. And we're going to do some damage. This is, again, a straightforward fight. Play with it, have fun with it, and go from there. Okay, so we've talked about the initiative bar. We've talked about the units. We've kind of done a little bit of that. I'm going to skip turn here for the first time. We're just going to hit skip turn here, and let's just say that I wanted to wait with this swordsman. He's going to go from right here to the very end of the turn order bar, and that's going to let maybe somebody else who's got more HP attack and take the retaliation, so that he doesn't take the retaliation and die. That way I still get his damage off, but I don't risk losing a troop unnecessarily. So even just now in this small little battle, the wait function still can be useful, but at this time it's not. Again, there's no real concern with whether or not we're going to win this fight. We're absolutely going to win this fight. 1 more stack of troglodytes goes down, and we do lose 1 of our swordsmen. I assume that they're going to talk about the focus bar at a future point, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I do want to also just point out that if you're looking for spells, this is your magic book. You're going to left click on that. It's going to bring up your spell book, and you're going to have access to lots of different spells. And they're going to be in the different schools of magic. You're going to have Daylight, Nightshade, Arcane, and Primal. Yes, those are them. You're going to have access to offensive combat spells. You're going to have access to adventure map spells. But in battle, you're going to access your spells from this point here with your spell book. At this point, I'm just going to hit wait a couple of times. And then my big stack of 35 is going to attack this troglodyte. And folks, we've done it. We've won our first battle here in Olden Era. Yay! Yay. We lost one swordsman. They lost all these troglodytes. If that's not a good win, I don't know what is. Congratulations on winning your first battle. I feel pretty good with that. Let's see. Chris says that this looks like very much like Songs of Conquest, which is not a bad thing. I agree with that. And having not played with Songs of Conquest too much, I do feel like the art style is closer to Songs of Conquest than it is some of the earlier Heroes of Might and Magic games, which is not too bad of a deal. Star says, oh, there's a tactics phase like in Heroes of Might and Magic 5. Yes, and if you have the tactics speciality, then you can increase the level of tactics, like how far you can position your troops, Star, but we're probably not going to get to that anytime soon. And then Christina Diamonds is in the chat. Hello, Christina Diamonds. Hello, good evening, Pixfox and everyone. Nice to have you here. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Keon's in the chat. What's up, Keon? Nice to have you here. Hey, Pixfox, what do you think so far? I love it so far. I've got about 40 hours on a different build. This is the demo build, but on the build that's available through the Discord, I've got about 40 hours on that build. And so I think I know kind of what I'm doing. Pretty soon, we're going to be playing a single-player scenario against a computer, and we're going to have it on max monsters and the worst economy you can have. But right now, we're going through the tutorial. Beardman's in the chat as well. Hello, Beardman. Hello, Fixfox. Hello, chat. Sorry to hear about the deer. Fixfox has been feeling in the downs, but I hope things will work out. Yep. You know, you win some, you lose some, but in the end, you play some Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, and whatever was ailing you, I'm sure we can make it feel better. Beardman, by the way, says the troglodytes are walking in a whimsical way. I agree with that. A little bit whimsical. They're a little bit slimy. I feel like they're slimy. If they were any more slimy, they would probably slip and slide as they're walking along the battlefield. Speaking of walking, this time we faced a weak enemy, but on our journey, we'll encounter much stronger foes. To defeat them, we will need a larger army. Nearby, we can see the swordsman garrisons, special buildings where you can hire reinforcements. Use the gold that we've collected to recruit new troops and clear the path ahead. So we have for the first time an external dwelling. These external dwellings are where we as a player can hire units that will help us fight these upcoming battles. With these forces right now, I could definitely, I probably couldn't defeat 49 troglodytes. If it was 29, I could probably defeat them with some clever positioning, but we're not gonna play it that loose and fast. We're gonna go to this garrison where we can recruit the swordsmen. And you can of course choose how many you want. The bar below indicates that for 1,440 gold, we can get all 18 of these swordsmen. Continue forward, your strengthened army can now, it can mow down. It can now take on a tougher enemy. Good. There's 1, 2, and very soon 3 of these garrisons that we have picked up. So do note we have the 1 stack of 55, lots of single stacks, and 1 stack of 35. I'm yet again going to pull all my forces together just into one big stack and then do lots of single stacks. Alternatively, as I bring everybody together, I can just use my left shift and just click that once and it will split the stacks individually. So I think that the Unfrozen Studios developers have done a really good job of looking at other iterations of Heroes of Might and Magic to see what keys, what key bindings, and what things feel the most familiar to the Heroes of Might and Magic audience. I think that that's just an example of a good job of not getting too cute with it. Try your very, very best to help us enjoy the game in the best way possible. And what that means is keep it simple and don't try and teach me everything brand new, but still introduce some new things. It's a tough line to walk, you know, be original, be fresh, but also don't break what's not broken. We're going to click start battle here. I like kind of where I've positioned these troops. We got 3 stacks of these infernal troglodytes, 13, 12, and 12. At this point, they've all waited for their first turn. I'm just going to wait across the board using the W key for my wait. I'm going to put not 1, but 3 of these single stacks of swordsmen up here. Basically, I'm just trying to entice these infernal troglodytes to come down the battlefield to where my 2 big stacks can hit them. I'm even going to keep my 2 big stacks here together and then try to move the single stacks that are remaining out in front. The Olden Era AI is not bad, but I have kind of in about 40 hours kind of figured out what I can expect out of it in a lot of ways, and that doesn't hurt my feelings too bad. I actually kind of enjoy that there's certain things that just make a lot of sense. We're going to take full damage from these troglodytes here. Yep, so we lose 2 swordsmen, but we retaliate against the full stack. And then ranged attack for 50% reduced damage. So not too bad. I'm not too sure. I'm imagining that this ranged defense, 30% reduced damage, actually does impact this viscous spit, the long reach. I believe that does count for that. Because there's 2 stacks here, I don't need to sacrifice a single stack to get rid of any of these enemies' retaliations, their counterattacks. We're just going to kill them outright. But with a little bit of positioning, we're just going to make sure that this goes without a hitch. Very cool. Very cool. Victory! 3 losses, not too bad. For the first time, folks, we're going to level up. We are going to level up, and that is going to be great. So this is the hero skills and levels. By exploring the world and defeating opponents, your hero gains experience points. Once enough experience is gained, the hero levels up. With each new level, the hero receives random improvements to their attributes and chooses one of 3 secondary skills, which are passive abilities that enhance their overall performance. So the primary attributes, of course, are what we're familiar with: attack, defense, knowledge, and spell power. And then the secondary skills are new and improved. If you're familiar with Heroes 2 and beyond, you're familiar with these secondary skills. And we'll get into those in just half a second. We must choose our skills wisely to strengthen our heroes. Heroes with well thought out skill combinations play a key role on the path to victory. Very true. If you see logistics in the Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, you take it. I don't care what's going on. Logistics for Olden Era is 100% an S tier must take skill every single time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you see logistics, take it 100%. That's just my experience. These are the primary stats. Oh, well, I've already explained what they've explained. Attack, defense, spell power, knowledge. These are all going to level up by +1 for every level that you do increase. And that attack and defense is going to make your troops hit harder in battle or take less damage. Spell power is going to boost the effectiveness of your spells. And the knowledge is going to increase the maximum mana, which will allow you to cast more spells. We also do have luck and morale. So in addition to the combat stats, morale and luck are applied to all of the creatures in our hero's army. And the morale will allow us to take an extra turn, but low morale could make us skip a turn or lose a turn. And luck does give us the opportunity to get an enhanced or bonus attack. Alternatively, you can get unlucky and you can do reduced damage if your luck is bad. So bad morale, bad luck, bad things happen on the adventure map or the battle map. Good luck, good morale, good things happen, which feels pretty good to me. For these heroes' classes and skills progressions, the attributes gained at each level depend on the hero's class. So we have might heroes and we have magic heroes. Might heroes are more likely to get the attack and the defense, and the magic heroes are more likely to get the spell power and the knowledge. Even if you are a might-based hero, you still do want spell power and knowledge. Those are still very valuable stats. And likewise, if you are a spellcaster, you are still very happy to get attack and defense skill. But there is a greater propensity to get a combat stat versus a magic stat depending on your hero's class. Might heroes tend to learn army-focused skills, and magic heroes are more inclined towards spell-enhancing skills. Very good. For example, each secondary skill has 3 levels. This is sorcery. You have basic, advanced, and expert sorcery. As the hero levels up, the skill can be advanced as follows. At the second level, you get to choose one of 3 sub-skills, and when you get to expert sorcery, in this case, you get a final capstone sort of sub-skill, right? So you get to choose between one of 3 when you get advanced, and then one of 2 when you hit expert. And this upgrade is going to really impact the way that your heroes play. There are some games I've played where I had a sub-skill on one game, and I'm like, wow, I'm just cruising through the adventure map. I'm kicking butt. I'm doing great. And then the next playthrough, I'm like, why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? And it's because I didn't even realize how valuable the sub-skill or the secondary skill was in helping me be effective. So these are actually critical choices here, not just in the secondary skills, but in the way that the sub-skills interact with each other. And then there are some classes. These advanced classes are similar to what you would find in Heroes of Might and Magic 4. These advanced classes, if you get certain secondary skills, you have the potential to get some additional bonuses and benefits to your hero. So get the specific combination of maximum levels. It's a challenging path, but the reward is worth it. The hero will become significantly stronger and gain powerful new abilities. To find out which skills are required to unlock an advanced class, you can hover your mouse over the class icon in the hero's profile. So basically right here, when you're picking your secondary skills, like in this case, basic battlecraft, which will allow your troops to defend and get the bonus. If you pick enough of these secondary skills that have this sort of icon over them, then you are going to have a really special play style unlocked for that specific hero. So look for these. This is going to matter. This is going to matter. This is just an icon to try and help you realize, oh, if I want to make my hero this highly specialized hero, I ought to pick this sort of secondary skill. Whew. At any point during the game, you can view detailed information about your hero. I showed you that. And here it is, folks. So we just picked up +1 to our attack skill. Right there, you can see the +1 over the 2 attack skill. So that's going to be up to 3. And we can see already that we have basic scouting. So our knight-based hero here has basic scouting, which gives him a +1 to his sight radius. And now we have the choice between taking basic defense, basic offense, or advanced scouting. We do have right here this little icon. Defense and scouting will not lead to an advanced class, but basic offense sure could. If I want to figure out what the advanced stats could be for a knight might hero, we have swashbuckler and we have paragon. So it's the two things that are just down here a little bit. If I get 5 of the secondary skills that are related to swashbuckler, our heroic strike damage will do 200% bonus damage, which is pretty good. And if we go into the secondary skills that go for paragon, all allies will always deal maximum and take minimum damage, which is actually sick. I don't think I've ever noticed that before, but you want to think about how big of a deal that is. That is a game-breaking sort of a deal. If you can get there, and you can't get there consistently from playthrough to playthrough. It is very inconsistent. It's not very common for me to get to one of these upper tier sort of bonuses. So just keep that in mind as we're picking what our stats are. For now, I think that we might as well go with the basic offense, in which friendly creatures' basic attacks will deal 10% bonus damage. So between defense, offense, and sight radius, let's go for the basic offense. And if I double click here, we now have scouting and the offense here for our troops. Whew. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right now, we're explaining a lot of stuff. Eventually, we're going to get rolling. But folks, now is pretty much a good time for me to let you know. I took all week off from work next week. We're going to be playing a lot of Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. I'm also going to be spending time with my family, but we're also going to be playing a lot of Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era here together. So if you're looking forward to doing more of this, trust me, next week is going to be a good time. Okay, let me get caught up on chat. Vami is talking about better if we can turn off and on the health bar because he thinks it's cluttered. I agree with that. That was something that I was talking with a couple of different people that we were just discussing the idea of the health bar in battle, and I've come to not notice it so much. At one point, it was a little bit of a sore spot for me. No longer really does it feel like a sore spot, but that's just me anyway. Rise to Ruin says the health bars are super useful. At a glance, it does tell you what's going on. If you're trying to be competitive and play at a fast speed, it does help you out an awful lot, especially when you have like a dragon with 300 hit points. The health bar really does matter there. Where it doesn't seem to matter so much for me is when I have a unit with only 12 HP. Like 12 HP, it doesn't feel like it's as valuable, but that's just me. Star VT says, ooh, the spell types look interesting. Very good. Very good. I'm all for that. And then Roma says, as discussed before, very useful for the peasants if they will be in the game. There are peasants in the game, but the peasants are going to be, they're going to be a neutral creature. They're not part of any of the factions. So that's pretty important to note. Is my face covering part of the minimap? Chris, my face is totally covering parts of the minimap. Hold on. Hold on, folks. We got to make an adjustment. Thank you, Chris. I think that for now, we're just going to make sure FixFox hangs out over here. For now, I'm going to figure out where FixFox ought to go, but for now, you're right. The minimap is in the bottom left corner, Chris, so let's make sure that we don't cover up important information for you as the viewer. So thank you very much there. And Bearded Man says, it was mentioned that peasants exist. Yep, but they're going to be neutral. And yeah, those poor peasants. Vami asks, is logistics more S tier than in other games? Yes, I think so. Especially in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, when it comes down to having a single hero mode, I think that logistics is going to be so critically important. Even if you have adventure map spells that are going to boost your movement points and allow you to kind of break the normal logistical rules, it's still critically important. Movement is king in these playthroughs, I do believe. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And Star VT says, whoa, Paragon sounds OP as hell. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you can get there, it is absolutely OP. 100%. Vami, by the way, says the meta is going to be messed up XP. It might be. We're going to see how that goes. It's going to be fun. Okay, folks, we've done it. We completed the first part of the tutorial, and now we know the basics of the game. In the next tutorial mission, you will learn more advanced features and strategies in greater detail. So, victory! Yay! We made it. Congratulations on tutorial level 1. This more challenging mission is now available. We're just gonna hit start mission and we're gonna have the same John Johnson hero. I'm imagining that this is going to be the tutorial that was available to the other build that I've got significant time on. So I'm probably going to be able to just kind of help speed our way through this tutorial. No, is it something different? No, this is the same one. Hold on. I expected it to just take me on to the next one, but it has taken us back to the previous one. So let me just go back to main menu. Okay. Yeah, I thought by clicking on it, it would just start me up with the next one, but no, this is just the first one. Great for beginners. Yeah, I don't want that. Back to the main menu. You'll lose all unsaved progress. I don't think I will. Continue. It says I got 0 progress? Huh. Alrighty, well. Oh, here, can I click here? Main mission. There's 2 little bubbles here. Gameplay basics and then advanced tutorial. So if you're looking for the advanced tutorial, you do have to interact with the map here. I was expecting it to be over here, but if you're not looking for it, you might miss it. So this is the gameplay basics and this is the advanced tutorial. This one is intended to be played at a normal pace and speed. So on we go. Bearded Man says, I don't know about it. Norovo got relatively quickly into his Olden Era video, but maybe he got lucky, or odds are dependent on the hero's faction. There are some secondary skills that are more likely to occur depending on what faction you have. That is true. That is internally in the game somehow, to some degree. More than that, I can't say, but I do highly recommend taking logistics at every chance you get. Welcome to the second tutorial mission. Your goal is to reach the city at the opposite end of the map and capture it. The city is guarded by an AI player, so prepare your hero and army for the upcoming battle. Start by capturing the nearby mines. They will provide you with resources and become the basis for your economy. Folks, for the very first time, we're going to have a castle, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. There's a note here about these map objects in the adventure map. As we explore the world, we will come across a wide variety of map objects, buildings, and items that our hero can interact with. Hovering over any interactive object will display a useful description, helping you decide whether it's currently useful to visit. Just like with standard movement, you can set a route to an interactive object. Once confirmed, the hero will travel to it, and then we will interact with the object. Each object has a specific interaction square, usually located just below it, but we have to make sure that we are right where we need to be. So for example, well, maybe I won't tell you for example just yet. But there is more to this tutorial. Neutral opponents. On the global map, we will encounter neutral creatures. That shouldn't be a surprise. There is this new indication here. They try and let you know, based off of that current army in your hero, whether or not they think that you can take this fight. If it's a normal battle, you got a pretty good chance of fighting the fight with minimal losses, but I've seen this go all the way up to impossible, 5 skulls, no chance are you going to be able to beat this creature, and I tend to believe them. I'm not good enough with magic in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era to overcome a fight that is completely unwinnable with magic alone. So we do have to keep track of the suggested difficulty of these neutral creatures that we're going to have to defeat. And both neutral armies and your hero's armies can include a wide variety of creatures. Each creature has its own stats, traits, and active abilities. So very important to note that while in other Heroes of Might and Magic games, you had, for example, in Heroes 2, you had a stack of Rangers, and it was maybe archers and Rangers, maybe it was the lower creature and then its upgraded version. That was about as much difference as you would get in the creatures that you would find on the adventure map. They didn't mix troops. You wouldn't find Rangers and Archers with Cavalry or with Crusaders. But now here in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, you can get some of these really nifty combinations of neutral creatures, and that actually adds a lot to the replayability of any of these playthroughs because you never know what you're going to get on the adventure map. So one thing I was going to say is that it does matter where you go to click on these objects. Every single time I've wanted to, at first, send my hero back to my main castle, it turned out that I made a mistake and I kept clicking on the wrong spot. You do have to click right here if you want to interact with your castle. So we have our, remember, heroes on the left, castles on the right. And for the first time, folks, let's take a look at our castle. This is the tutorial for the cities. Very good. Oh, and Roman does like the way that the game looks. Let's check the battles and AI graphics. We'll take a look. We'll get there, 100%. Cities are the cornerstones of our progress in the game. Each one is unique and offers vital functions that can lead to victory. On the left-hand side, we're going to have our interactable things for each city. On the right-hand side, we can navigate from city to city pretty quickly. We're going to do building. We're going to hire creatures. We're going to upgrade creatures. We have a tavern where we can hire more heroes. We can trade resources and artifacts. We have unique faction abilities available in each of the castles and towns we will go for. And additionally, cities will generate gold daily and accumulate something new, something called faction law points. Now that's going to be pretty nifty. We're going to get into that in just half of a second. Do note that like in Heroes 2 and beyond, you have the ability to have heroes in the garrison of the cities, and you also have the heroes that are visiting the cities. So you can have two heroes interacting in a city at any time, and they can swap forces back and forth from one to the other section. So it's known as the guest position and the garrison position. But remember that each hero must have at least one creature stack in their army, otherwise they will be defeated. Apart from the neutral squads, creature stacks cannot exist on the map without a hero, and so make sure that your heroes are front and center in all that you do. And folks, as you move the mouse, you do get this kind of nifty look at these towns. This is the redesigned temple. The original temple design for the city was not bad, but this one's vastly superior. Look, you got like little peasants down here. There's a chicken. Occasionally there's a wagon that'll go through here. There's sheep in the background. This is reminiscent of the first time I felt when I played Heroes of Might and Magic 5. It just feels beautiful and good. And I hope that every castle that you look at them and you like it. I like this one. I hope that they keep reworking them until they are as good as they can possibly be. This one feels excellent to me, and a massive upgrade over the original. So on the left-hand side, we have construct new buildings, recruit creatures, upgrade creatures, and then some of our other functions here. Here's where your troops go. Here's the forces that can be hired. Here's your gold per day. And we'll get into some of these things in the upper left corner in just a moment. For the first section here, you do need to note that each castle you have has this little hammer here. This will indicate whether or not you've built for the day. We have not built our one building in this castle yet today. So let's go to construct new buildings with a left click, and this will bring up a different page. This is all the different things that we can purchase. So if it's in blue, blue is it's already built. So we already have a garrison and we already have the muse. The garrison's going to give us access to the swordsman, and the muse is going to give us access to crossbowmen, who are a ranged tier 2 creature. And we also have the solar temple, which will give us 1,000 gold and 1,000 law points per day, and gives you +1 additional heroes possible. By the way, Borisser's in the chat. Hello, Borisser, nice to see you here. Yeah, Olden Era it is, and we're having a really nice time with it. We've got the following buildings available. We can get our griffins, who are a tier 3 creature, from the Griffin Rookery. We can upgrade the garrison so that we have access to the upgraded swordsmen, which will be the guard captains and the sun aegis. We have a Mage Guild, very important, of course. We can upgrade our crossbowmen. We can get a scouting skyship. This is one of the many different faction special buildings you can have. Each faction building has a specific building that only they can purchase. For heroes to, for example, the dungeon faction, they could get the dungeon. The warlocks could get the dungeon. Necromancers could get the shrine for necromancy. Here in Olden Era, the temple faction has this scouting skyship, which gives you basically kind of like the lookout tower from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 with the tower faction. So pretty nifty there. And you also have this Guild of the Six Winds, where heroes can stay overnight at the cost of movement points and being out on the adventure map. They can stay at home, they can hit the books, and they can learn the best they can to increase their stats. We can also get this upgraded solar temple. This will increase your gold and increase the law points daily. So this is going from your city hall up to your town hall, as it were. And this is an extra 500 gold per day and an extra 1,000 law points, which we will talk about very soon. And then, of course, marketplace and so on and so forth. Of course, this all depends on what you want and where you want to spend your resources. For now, folks, we're going to focus hard on the economy, and we're going to go for this solar temple level 2. As we hit construct, it will be built here in the background of our city, looking pretty nifty. Here, it indicates that there's some passive income for the cities, that the economy does play a central role. That shouldn't be a surprise for anybody. You need gold to purchase troops and to build buildings. Of course, gold is important. But also, cities will generate law points, which is a special resource required to activate your faction's unique bonuses. If you want to get more of these faction law points, then you do want to make sure you have more of these buildings that are upgraded in your cities. They will provide more faction law points. And also your heroes will generate faction law points as they do damage on the adventure map and come across some neutral creatures that they will wipe out. In this left bubble here, this is your Mage Guild, which if I click on it, there's no magic in here at the moment, but this is where you'll go. It's this upper left bubble right here. This just indicates that this is where the Mage Guild is. This is where spells are. And you got Daylight, Nightshade, Arcane, and Primal Magics. These will all be available to you for levels 1 and 2 spells. If you want to have access to Daylight magic spells from 3, 4, and 5, you're going to need the corresponding school of magic, unless there's some special secondary skills you can pick up on your heroes. And then all spells are ranked from the tiers 1st through 5th, available down here. We'll come back to that in just a second. Instead, we will click on this faction law button. These faction laws mean that every different faction, whether it's temple, whether it's dungeon, whether it's hive, whatever it is, they all have different unique possibilities on the adventure map and in battle that you can put your faction law points into, kind of like a tech tree, where eventually you can get all of these taken care of, and you can get all of these different bonus attributes for your forces. So it will strengthen economy, improve creature stats, and modify core gameplay rules. But you can only go tier by tier by tier. You have to invest a certain number of faction law points into the tier 1 faction laws before you are allowed to progress into the faction level 2 faction points. So you have to start at the bottom and work your way up. You can't just immediately get access to the very best of the faction laws. So for now, for example, we don't have any faction law points. We are currently at 0. When we hit end turn, we're going to be given another 1,500 because of the building we just purchased. And once we hit 2,500, we will then have a breakpoint of being allowed 1 faction law point, and we could currently spend it here in tax collectors, for example. If we invest a point into tax collectors, we will get an additional 250 gold per day, which is pretty darn good. If we wanted to spend 3 faction law points, we could improve the scouting radius of all of our heroes, regardless of whether they are might-based or magic-based, regardless of whether they are temple creatures or some other faction. They will all have an increased scouting radius. We could also get a one-time bonus of 2,500 gold, 5 wood, 5 ore. If we wanted to spend the 1 faction law point there, we could boost our economy in the early game. Very, very useful if you're playing on apocalyptic difficulty when it comes down to resources. And then, other than on the faction laws on the left-hand side, you then have faction law points you can specifically spend for your troops and your improvements on the right-hand side. For example, we could get elite swordsmen, where we will increase the growth in the city by 4, and the defense of our swordsmen will increase by 2. Or we could make our crossbowmen more potent in their offensive attack and increase their growth in cities as well. Or we could do this, where all positive effects last an additional round. So you're going to get to choose and do lots of fun things. Game to game, your strategy might change, or there might be a meta that develops in what makes the very most sense for you, for your playstyle, or if you're playing competitively, what will help you overcome your enemy the quickest. Folks, we've spent a lot of time in this town here. It's all very good and fun. We will come back later, I'm sure. But for now, I'm going to go down to here. We have a buy all button right here. And if I click this buy all button, we will buy 18 swordsmen and 14 of these crossbowmen. I'm just going to do that right now. They're going to go from in their individual dwellings, where I could have purchased them myself. They're going to go from their individual dwellings into the garrison. I'm going to move them into my army like so. I'm going to bring all my swordsmen together into one big stack of 50, and I'm going to break off the single stacks. And, well, actually, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to split myself into 2 stacks. Yeah, hold on. 2 stacks of the crossbowmen, and just call it there, like so. Okay. Alrighty, and as we go back out of our castle here, the end turn button and leaving your castle screen, it's the same button here. So if I click now, it'll take me out of the castle. If I were to click again, it would try to end my turn. Let's go adventuring. We got an ore mine to the bottom right. We got a sawmill to the upper left. For now, let's just go to the bottom right, and let's just kind of see where this goes. I'm going to grab a little bit of gold for now and figure out where that is. Star says, love all the little moving parts in the town. It looks very pretty. I love that. I'm so glad for that. Yeah, I think pretty matters. If I'm going to play a fun game, pretty matters. Yeah, it does tend to matter. Bearded Man says there are many places where they use the word artifacts instead of artifacts. It's a misspelling. Or the artifacts have gotten their name changed. I'm pretty sure that there's lots of spelling errors I've found so far, and that's okay. I'm sure they'll get those figured out over time. No worries. British versus American English, Roman says. I don't know. I'll go with that. We'll go with that, Roman. That sounds good to me. Back here, it indicates that there is a resource system. If you've played Heroes before, I'm not going to bore you with the details. Gold, gems, wood, crystal, ore, mercury. Oh, what's this? Instead of sulfur, you have a new resource, which is known as alchemical dust. So these all do what you would expect them to do. All of the precious and non-precious resources in gold, you use them to buy creatures. Alchemical dust is going to be used to improve your troops. It's going to be used to improve your artifacts. And it's going to be pretty fun. Yeah, the star is going to call it sulfur. Yeah, you're totally allowed to call it sulfur. I will see. I don't know what I'm going to do. We're going to have to find a new way of doing everything. But for now, just know that this is alchemical dust, and it's going to be used to improve some other things later. And Chris agrees. Color and color, two different ways of saying it. I definitely agree. Worth noting, folks, in the past, movement has been a little bit difficult for other Heroes of Might and Magic games because you don't want to waste movement points by going in a diagonal because it costs more movement points. That is still more or less in effect here in the Heroes of Might and Magic game, right? What is different entirely is that it does not cost any movement points to interact with something around you. So if I move to here, whether I'm here or here, it will not matter if I try and pick up this in a diagonal or if I try to pick it up in a north, south, east, or west direction. I'm not going to lose additional movement points. Right now I have 126 movement points right now. Just by picking up something next to me, it does not cost any movement points. 126 out of 200, it's the same. So movement is very different in Olden Era as compared to other Heroes of Might and Magic games. You are going to want to keep that in mind. And we do have an easy battle here. We're going to get this ore mine in just a second. I'm going to leave these forces pretty much where they are. For the first time, we see an upgraded creature for the temple creatures. This notes that there are different stats and different abilities. I've kind of already explained that. HP, attack, defense, damage, morale, speed. Let me still explain this just to make sure that I'm the most correct here. The hit points of each creatures, that makes sense. Attack and defense, they interact with each other to modify damage. Okay, damage is like the base damage a creature will do. Really, it comes down to speed and initiative. Speed is how far you can go on the adventure map or the battle map, and initiative is turn order. We've kind of already talked about that. And in addition, creatures have active and passive abilities, which we have not yet talked about. Active and passive abilities that do have a significant impact on the battlefield. So by right-clicking on this creature here, this upgraded swordsman known as the Sun's Aegis. First off, they've got 15 HP as compared to the 12 HP of the swordsman. They are faster. In initiative, they have a little bit more initiative, 7 initiative up to 8 initiative, but their speed is the same, right? These are still supposed to be these kind of bulky soldiers. They go from 4 defense from the base level swordsman up to a defense of 7, right? So they're bulky, slow moving, but they do have a new ability. So they are anointed for defense, meaning that whenever this creature gains a positive effect, its defense will increase by 2 until the end of the battle, which is massive. You can get these guys to be really chunky if you really try to. If you want to invest in your Sun's Aegis creatures, they can have an impossibly high defensive stat if you want to go that direction. And likewise, they also have this passive ability where this creature and all friendly creatures now will take negative 30% reduced damage. So as before with the swordsmen, they themselves were always going to take 30% reduced damage. Now the Sun's Aegis have this ability where creatures around them, you can position them in such a way that your archers, your crossbowmen, are not going to be privy to nearly so much damage as they otherwise would have been. So a very useful upgrade, and the alternative is going to be a different upgrade, which we will see later. For now, I think I'm just going to hit the W function. I'm going to wait on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacks of swordsmen. Their enemy Sun's Aegis are going to come across the battle. And I'm going to use my crossbowmen to attack from range. Tier 2 creatures, 3 to 4 damage, 7 attack, 5 defense. They've got this ranged attack where the further the enemy is, the most reduced damage we will do. The most reduced damage will be 50% of a penalty in your damage if the enemies are too far away. And as they get closer, then we will do increased damage up to 100% damage. So if an enemy is only 3 hexes away, 1, 2, 3 hexes away, I'm going to be doing max damage. And for every hex further, I'm going to be doing reduced damage down to a minimum of 50%. So really, I mean, damage ranges in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era are kind of nifty, By the way, if you have any crossbowmen in your army, your hero's sight radius on the adventure map will be +1, which is kind of nifty. And yes, the effect does not stack. One single crossbowman will give you that passive ability. And then for the first time, we're going to see an active ability, which when activated will deal additional ranged damage and will last for 2 turns. We have a new mechanic, which we have not yet talked about. So in the bottom section here, we're going to have what's known as the focus bar. The focus bar is going to be something that you kind of manage right along with your mana. So for example, when I attack, I'm going to gain +1 focus because I will get +1 focus when I attack, when I counterattack, take damage. Lots of different actions will generate focus points, but just simply waiting here on the battlefield or doing nothing isn't going to do anything for you. Attacking is going to generate some focus. There's 1 focus point. When I get to a certain number of focus, I have certain abilities that are unlocked to me. So we've just generated 2 focus bar points. I'm doing some defending. Lots of skippings. The enemies are waiting. I'm waiting. It's a gunfight. Everybody's just waiting for the first person to make the move. And I'm hoping, if I'm right, I think I'm about to hit for the first time something I can actually do with the focus bar. So give me just one more second. You know what? We're gonna lose some troops here. We're gonna attack with a single stack. And for the first time, it looks like we are going to get ourselves into a break point of these focus bars. So in addition to movement and attacks, creatures can use abilities which require focus. Units need focus, which accumulates during battle. When a stack attacks or takes damage from an enemy, it generates 1 focus point for the army. After accumulating the required number of focus points, you get a focus charge. Different abilities require different amounts of focus charges to activate. The required amount is shown in the ability's icon. After using the ability, it will enter a cooldown, it becomes unavailable for several rounds, and it will consume the focus points that were taken. The cooldown is different for each ability. Some abilities you're meant to cast many times in a fight. Some abilities, you pretty much got one option. Make sure you don't miss it. Don't mess it up. So use focus wisely. In addition to creature abilities, your heroes can also use active abilities that do require the focus charges. So as your heroes advance in their capabilities, you can also use your focus not just simply for your troops, but also in things that your hero can specifically do. So for example, we have just hit this point. The little diamond here indicates that 1 focus charge has been achieved. There's another diamond here that we can achieve with focus, and then you can have up to a maximum of 3 focus charges at any given time. By hitting this breakpoint of 1 focus charge available, we have now activated the ability to use this heroic strike. It will deal 40 plus 10% times the hero's level in damage to an enemy. So I'm going to left click on this heroic strike. I'm going to plan on using this focus bar ability. I'm going to left click on the creatures I want to destroy. And my hero will send a bolt of energy to defeat these creatures. In the bottom left, I will always have access to my details of what has happened in the battle. So John Johnson used the ability Heroic Strike. The Sun's Aegis took 40 damage and 2 units died. Great, wonderful. And then our focus went from here down to here because we consumed 1 charge worth of focus. Pretty nifty. Okay. With that, in case you're wondering, you can always mouse over a creature and you can kind of see what its traveling radius is. For these swordsmen here, we can see that we can reach this stack of 3. We're going to do that now. We're going to slice and dice and we're going to get out of this fight, but hopefully that was a good first look at what focus can do for you. And you might notice, you might say, FixFox, are you telling me that you can attack with any archer stacks and you can generate focus? And the answer is yes. So if I wanted to, as I'm taking my army together, I can pull everybody in together, and I can even do it just like this. I can make sure that I have my single stacks of my crossbowmen, and that will generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 focus stacks per turn, essentially, minimum, right, from afar. So going into any battle, it's going to be very helpful and useful to know what enemy you're up against, to know if that sort of strategy will work, if that'll help you generate enough focus points to do good things. That'll be up to you, but it's going to take some experience for me and for you to figure out what'll be best. At this point, I'm going to walk across to pick up some ore. That's 5 ore, and I'm going to click on this ore mine. Some interactive objects have an owner. We have now taken ownership of this ore mine. It will give us 2 ore per day, and and it will stay ours for the entire rest of the game until an enemy takes it from us. So this is indicating that mines can be flagged, and also things like creature dwellings, which we've already seen before. Great. If I mouse over this section up here, it'll actually tell me I'm getting 1,500 gold per day. I'm getting +0 wood per day. I'm getting +2 ore per day. Alternatively, I can hit Alt. And if I hit Alt while I'm here on the adventure map, it will tell me what my incoming resources are in the top bar. And it will also highlight any objects that I can interact with on the adventure on this map. So for example, we passed by this ore storage and we did already interact with it today. We got some additional ore. It was 6 to 10 ore just really quickly. It was a one-time boost this week and it will replenish once a week. But you can also see that there's a patch of ore here, gems, a singing sword, more enemies, so on and so forth. The Alt function can be very, very useful. To just click it and hold it if you so desire, or toggle it however you wish. That might be very, very useful if you are brand new to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, just to figure out where things are and what things will do. Okay. I need a drink. And I need to get caught up on chat. Whew. Again, I don't pretend to be an expert on Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, but I'm getting the basics down. Like I'm getting the basics down. We're getting there. We're not there yet. We'll get there. We will definitely get there. Okay. Just kind of touching base on some of the other chat stuff. It looks like, holy cow, yeah. Gotta be honest, Star VT says, gonna be honest, I'm still gonna call that sulfur, absolutely. And the Bearded Man continues, sulfur was literally dust used by the alchemists. That makes sense. And Chris does like his spelling, because he's an English gentleman. He likes the English UK version of the spellings. So I respect that. I'm more familiar with my Americanized versions. It is what it is. Roman says, I'm calling the police. What's your address? Nope, that's okay. We don't send each other to jail. That's not what we do here at Fix Fox Gaming. We're not doing that today. Star does say, by the way, that the Aegis ability is really cool. So there is an incentive to break up stacks and keep them near the archers. Yeah, I think that that's actually really sweet. And again, it's an example of how a low tier creature can still have a huge impact in your late game army. I think that that's not just cool. I think that that's awesome. I think that that's ideal. If you're looking at a long-term Heroes of Might and Magic game and just like utilizing all the different systems at play, there's a lot of strategic depth that you can get if you are doing that. So yeah, it totally makes sense, Star. I love it. Sounds good to me. And yes, Chris, I'm absolutely going to be playing F Heroes 2 when this comes out. Don't you worry. F Heroes 2, Heroes of Might and Magic 2 is always going to be my very first love. So don't you worry about that. That's not going to be a problem. Folks, let's see. Let me pull this up real quick. We do have a follow. Who was that? Jason Dodge with the follow. Jason, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome, welcome. We're enjoying, of course, some Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Good stuff. Good stuff. And Sandra the Peasant Killer, hey, I'm doing really, really good. Looking forward to getting back to your Heroes of Might and Magic 4 map that you made in the future. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, folks. Yes, it's here, Jason Dodge says. Yes, it's here. It's here. I'm so excited. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, folks, let's continue on. We could go and attack these skeletons. It says it's an easy battle. Tell you what, let's just make that happen. Let's be bold. Let's be brave. And by the way, you notice I'm scrolling in and out. I kind of prefer this level of zoom. I think that you're gonna have to give me some feedback as to what level of zoom you feel is best as a viewer. I'm interested to know. We're gonna take one step forward here. There's days and weeks, which I've already mentioned. Month 1, week 2, day 4. The days and weeks, it does determine lots of different things from day to day, movement points, what buildings you can build, etc., etc. When we get to a new week, we're going to see if we get a special new fun week. And I'm looking forward to getting to point that out very, very soon, by the way. We've already talked about developing our cities. We've already talked about how your castles are on the bottom right, or rather the right-hand side of the map if you're looking for that. And then, yeah, just how you end your turn here with the end turn button that will replenish all your nifty things. It's nice to know that I'm doing a pretty good job of explaining all this. That actually feels pretty good to me, that I'm getting ahead of the tutorial. This is the Stinging Sword adventure map object. It permanently increases each visiting hero's attack by 1, so we are +1. I'm gonna go into this fight here. First thing in the morning, we're out of movement points. Let's hit end turn. And folks, for the first time, we are now gonna have 2 heroes that we have on our adventure map. In Heroes of Might and Magic, we can use multiple heroes to clear the map efficiently and quickly. They all have their own skills and set levels and so on and so forth. But they indicate that you might have a scout or a resource collector versus a great commander. That's a pretty nuanced sort of adventure that we do in previous Heroes games, of course. And up in the upper right corner, just in case I didn't point it out, this indicates that we have 2 out of 3 heroes. You can only have a max number of heroes depending on how much you've built up your castle. So before, you could hire 8 heroes in one day, on day 1 if you wanted to. In Olden Era, they do cap that a little bit depending on how much you advance your city. So pretty nifty there. But this is the new hero, whereas Mr. John Johnson is a might-based hero. We also have this new hero right below him. So John Johnson's little portrait is here. I'm going to navigate to this new hero, Laia, the Untethered One. And if I double-click on her portrait here, we're going to indicate that she is a cleric. She is a magic user. And she starts off with basic ascension, and she starts off with basic daylight magic. So she's got some nice special abilities for her. She's got 5 griffins, which are the tier 3 creatures. She's got crossbowmen, swordsmen. And for the first time, I'm going to share with you that each hero, like in other Heroes games, each hero in Olden Era does have some specialities. So for example, if I go to this little nodule, this little thing right below her portrait, it indicates the speciality of this hero. This hero receives +1 level to all of the daylight spells, plus 1 more for every 10 hero levels, and she can use them in battle without any limits. So basically, this hero is an excellent spellcaster when it comes to any spell in the School of Daylight Magic. So that is her special ability. If you want to cast these daylight spells, which are buffing and protecting spells, she is definitely going to be your gal, this Laia, the Untethered One. Alternatively, if we go back to John Johnson, if we mouse over this, it indicates that he is the salt of the earth. And so swordsman growth in all of our cities is +1. And then any swordsmen under his command are going to have additional speed, initiative, and hit points. Plus, their attack and defense is going to increase as he gets to be a better hero. So if you want to have really great swordsmen, John Johnson is your man. All right, let's put that to the test, and let's have John Johnson fight these skelly boys. Rise Truant says, I vote this sulfur is renamed to ground magic pixie dust or dragon toasted sprite ash. What is alchemical dust made out of? Are you telling me it's just ground up pixies? Oh gosh, I don't think I've even seen a pixie yet. We will have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Folks, this is the auto combat. It indicates that we are gonna win this fight. The auto combat thinks that we're going to lose 1 crossbowman. We can accept that result, or we can just fight this fight ourselves. We're going to fight this fight ourselves because this is going to give us a nice look at skeletons for the first time, and we're going to look at our focus bar and see how this goes. So I'm just going to hit start fight right now. Well, I'm going to move the swordsman up 1 spot. There are 17 skeleton archers. They do have a ranged attack. They have the same melee penalty options that most ranged creatures struggle with. In melee, you do reduce damage, and also if your enemies are too far away, your arrows do have reduced effectiveness. And we also have the skeleton warriors, which are the upgraded version of the skeletons. They are a tier 1 creature here, but again, these skeleton archers are also tier 1. So if we had 1 stack of just skeletons and the skeleton warriors and the skeleton archers, we would have a representative from each of the different type of tier 1 necropolis forces that you can get. If you have any creature, you can upgrade them into 2 separate upgrades. The skeleton archer upgrade is its own distinct upgrade that turns them into a ranged creature. And alternatively, you can turn your skeletons into these skeleton warriors, in which case they get higher hit points, they're a little bit faster, and they hit a lot harder. So it's going to be up to us to determine what upgrades are the very, very best for us moving forward. Skeletons are going to walk slowly across the adventure map. We are going to take our shots at these crossbowmen, and look, we are generating focus not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. You get the point. I'm not going to say 5 or 6 times. I'm not going to say that. But what's now happened is that we were able to generate enough focus that I now have access to this heroic strike. If I had 1 stack of crossbowmen, or if I had 2 stacks of crossbowmen, I would not have access to this heroic strike right now. But if I do, I can now heroic strike across the battlefield, and we will take out 6 of their skeleton archers. It does feel pretty good to me. I'm mousing over the skeleton warriors just to see kind of how far they can travel. I don't want to open myself up to an attack from them. I'm going to move just 1 hex outside of their movement range. I note that because I've got a higher initiative, 8 initiative, versus their 6th initiative. I was going to get the attack anyway. We're going to kill between 19 to 25. We have a top end of damage and a low end of damage. 2 to 3 damage. There's going to be some internal dice rolls that determine exactly how hard our stacks hit. We're going to kill between 19 to 25 of these skeletons. Let's see how many we kill. We killed 24. Not too bad. Not too bad. We take a little bit of retaliation damage. And this skeleton is pretty quickly going to go down. I say pretty quickly, but we got the speed turned all the way down at the moment. I don't believe that John Johnson has access to these spells. Combat magic, I'll explain that. Oh, he does. Cool. So for the first time, John Johnson's got 2 spells available to him. We could have cast this on turn 1. We're here on turn 2. Right now we've got Blessing, which will increase the damage from any stack of creatures. 1 stack of creatures on the battlefield, you can increase their damage by 10%. And we also have this Weakening Ray, which will remove a counterattack charge from the next enemy. I love Weakening Ray. It's actually one of my favorite daylight spells. If I don't have it, I feel weak in the knees because I love the ability to take out a huge stack and just like attack them with impunity. I love it. So Weakening Ray is actually one of my favorite spells of all time, by the way. So 2 good spells. Right now, I don't think that we're going to need them. I think that with enough focus points generated, we're just going to finish this fight with 1 more of these heroic strikes and get out of here. Get out of here. No takit nala. And hey, because I fought that fight myself, we actually saved ourselves a crossbowman. Who could have guessed? Folks, for the first time, we find a treasure chest. It will give us either gold or experience. We can give 1,000 gold to ourselves because we are happy and healthy and we love gold, or we can distribute the gold amongst the peasantry for 500 experience. For now, I'm gonna take the gold. We got plenty of gold. Let's go for experience. Plus 500 experience. That didn't quite get us up to a new level. And now, folks, there's a fish. A fish, yes. Fix Fox says there's a fish to the face, a common main hand item. And if we hit shift for more information, it will indicate a little bit more about this artifact. This fish to the face artifact will give you +1 attack, and it's part of a larger artifact grouping. Some familiar artifacts, combinable artifacts, artifacts that work synergistically with each other to create a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. Is familiar to you if you've played Heroes of Might and Magic 3. You've got the Armor of the Damned, you've got the Cloak of the Undead King, you've got the Power of the Dragon Father. Artifacts that when you have multiple stacks of them, they will have increased effects for you. This Fish to the Face artifact, if I click on it, will go into my hero's backpack with a certain rarity. And once in my hero's backpack, it now can slide into the appropriate spot. This fish to the face is now in my right hand, and my attack is increased by 1. If I can find some additional artifacts related to this Pauper's Glory, then we will have additional bonuses as we get there. I know we're going to find some more of these artifacts. Let's wait until we get to that point before we talk about that any further. Okay, John Johnson's cleared out this section of the map. We cannot get down to this little dragon utopia. It's just there for looks in this tutorial. And we're going to go over to this windmill, a common thing to find in this hero's game. And then this is a portal exit. This is just thematic for the purposes of the tutorial to let us know, hey, by the way, BT dubs, your heroes are doing a nice thing. She just popped up, and this is the explanation for why you just got a new hero. Interacting with a friendly hero, we can have the heroes walk over to each other and interact, and in the field they can exchange troops or artifacts and so on and so forth. In this case, we can see that I can move all of my forces over to Mr. John Johnson, remembering that I simply must have at least 1 additional force available to me by the end of this exchange. I can't move all 14 of these swordsmen. I can move 13 over though. So I can move 13 over, and she's got 1 remaining. It doesn't really matter to me who my main hero is. For now, I'll keep it as Mr. John Johnson. But I do want to note that Laia the Untethered One has a neutral adventure map object, or rather spell, that she can do, if this is the same tutorial from the build I'm familiar with. A global map spell is a type of magic that allows the heroes to move, interact with allies, or engage with objects from afar. It does consume mana, and it's only available on the adventure map, not in battle. But you can get additional adventure map spells through your Mage Guild, as you might expect. So, she does not have it. Interesting. In the original tutorial that I'm familiar with, she actually had access to a spell that allows you to interact with a friendly hero from afar, which was really super cool because then she didn't have to be right up here. She could be all the way over here, like 10 paces away, and still interact with this hero, which was nifty, really cool, really crazy. And I hope that we get to see that spell very, very soon because I think it's one of my favorites. Folks, we got Alina the Gnome with the raid. Hello, Alina. Nice to have you back. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to all of your friends. It's always a pleasure to have Alina the Gnome here. How are you? Are you well? Are you doing good? How is your crafts going? Hopefully your crafts are going exceptionally well. And yeah, is life good for you, Alina? I sure hope it is. Okay, folks, Laya the Untethered One just found 1,000 experience. Note that she can become a Grand Inquisitor or an Ascendant, so either her spells will always cost 0 magic, or we can only use spells once per battle, or the enemy can only use spells once per battle. I could go in either direction. Your basic insight, basic logistics, what did I tell you? If we see logistics, we're taking it. So she has picked up 1,000 experience from Learning Stone, a little bit of Alchemical Dust, which is the special resource that will improve spells and artifacts and creature dwellings. Very good. And I'm just going to have her do adventuring and just be a scout and pick up artifacts and free resources and anything else that's good while Mr. John Johnson goes back, picks up some forces, and then takes out this sawmill. But we do need to make another purchase here today. I'm going to go for the Solar Temple number 3. Strong economy, lots of gold, lots of faction law points. Can't possibly go wrong. I can escape from the castle here and click out, or I can just end my turn from the castle. I'm going to end my turn from the castle, knowing that my heroes have already used all their movement points and we've already built. So now we are on to month 1, week 1, on to day 3. And I'm going to purchase a new building right from here. Heck, I might as well just go for this bank. Money, the root of all evil. Yeah, sure, let's go for that. The bank will increase your gold output by 1,000 gold. So we are currently up to 3,000 gold per day, which feels pretty okay to me. Note that we have, for the first time, picked up some faction law points. I'm actually used to these faction laws, this bubble having a little number indicating how many faction laws you've accumulated so far. For the first time, we can take a look at all this and see which of these faction law specialties we want to have. I like gold. So for now, I'm going to spend 1 of my faction law points. I've got 2 faction law points. I'm going to spend 1 on tax collectors. I'm getting an extra 250 gold per day now. Very good, up to 3,250. And then, let's do tax collectors times 2. And now I'm up to 3,500 gold per day. For not all of these, but for some of these, you can see that there's a little bubble on top. I've got 1, 2, 3 bubbles possible for this tax collectors area. 1 possible upgrade for the scouting, 1 resource riches. There's 2 upgrades for your swordsmen, 2 upgrades for your crossbowmen, etc., etc. So some of these you can do multiple times. If we wanted to increase our gold by 250 gold a day one more time, we sure could do it. For now, we're going to get out of here and go see our heroes and see how they're doing. But, yep. Oh, and Alina, yeah, this is the demo. And thankfully, everybody's doing a good job of trying to let everybody know what's going on. Yeah, so this is the demo, and you can go play the demo yourself. For anybody that can hear the sound of my voice, go and play this demo for yourself. I'm going through it at a very slow pace now, but I'm going to pick up the speed as quickly as I can. But for now, I do want to be as thorough as I can because I think that there's some value in making sure that we are looking at everything and trying to be as precise with our gameplay as we possibly can be. I'm anticipating that we're going to end up playing Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era a lot. And so this is going to be our opportunity to enjoy the game at a slower pace for now. And as things creep up, we're going to go a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster. That's not going to be too bad. Mr. Dodge, thank you so much for the subscription. It is a pleasure to have you here. Welcome so very, very much. Yeah, it was nice to have your follow earlier, and it's a pleasure to have you here now for the subscription. I hope I get to keep you for an awful long time. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Bearded Man, by the way, says, news to me, your free time is no more. Yeah, your free time is no more. Go play. It will not hurt my feelings, folks. If you just leave the stream, go download the game and go play it for yourself. That's not going to hurt my feelings. If you don't want to ruin it for yourself, if you're the kind of person who likes to explore the game by yourself, I highly encourage you to do that. I want you to enjoy this great game in whatever way makes the most sense to you. Okay, go for it. And Alina the Gnome says, I'm installing it right now. Of course. That makes me happy. Very good. All right, folks, we have a sawmill, we have an ore mine, we have wood storage that gives you a one-time bump of wood per week. Ore storage, one-time bump per week. You have to visit this and this windmill, this once a week. But we also have the gold mine. If we're able to defeat these Sun Aegises, we will be able to get 1,000 extra gold per week. But note that Currently, Mr. John Johnson's not my highlighted hero. Currently, it is Laia, the Untethered One, and with her one swordsman, this indicates that this is a lethal battle. This is not likely to be very successful, and so we're going to avoid this with her. She's going to continue on up the road and just do some scouting for me. I do see some swordsmen here with a +1 to our defense. So we've already seen the Singing Sword for +1 attack. And now we have this Summit Automaton, which will increase your defense by +1. And look, we have for the first time the stables. We're gonna go to the stables. This will restore 20% of our movement points and grant 20% movement until the end of the week. Very nice. As we go on, we're gonna grab this campfire for 2 wood and a little bit of gold. A little bit of mercury is found. And what's this? We have a garrison where we can recruit the swordsman. We're gonna capture this object. And then there's also the Muse, which you are able to recruit your crossbowmen from. Because we're investing highly in gold, I don't see any problem with recruiting all these forces. And now the question is going to be whether or not we should go through these archers or not. For now, I'm just going to grab this free little artifact here. Remember, you can always hit Alt to see what you can interact with. And this definitely is something we can interact with. This is an artifact that will go quite nicely with our fish to the face. So we're at the end of our day, on to a new day. All right, let me get caught on chat for just 1 second here. There's so many wonderful people here, and I don't want to miss you. And I don't want to miss a thing. Roman says that the different skeletons over here were the leftovers from the Transformer. Huh, that's funny. The skeleton Transformer turning different alive creatures into dead creatures. Funny how that works. Funny how that works. Star says, I do hope that the upper and lower damage ranges in this game are tighter than in previous ones. For some units, yes, and for some units, no. What I've noticed is that the lower tier of creatures is absolutely a really tight range, but like in Heroes 2, for example, with the Sorceress faction, certain factions are a little bit more hit or miss. Some factions are a little bit more reliant on morale and luck than others. Each faction is meant to be played very, very differently. Temple is sort of down the middle of the road, and you should kind of know what you can expect out of your forces. Other factions, not so much. Not so much. Bearded Man asks if the fish to the face artifact shouldn't be considered a head artifact. That would be hilarious. Yeah. No, it's not a fish to my face. It's a fish to their face. You gotta get them with that. Yeah. Yeah. Does this have the underground like in Heroes 3? Chris asks, and the answer is no, not yet. So I know that an underground and water movement and combat by sea is planned in future iterations of Olden Era. They're still working on the game. It's confirmed by DNS from Unfrozen's CEO that that is going to be planned in the future, but they're just not there yet. So they're still working on the game. Folks, basic leadership, advanced defense, advanced ascension. This ascension's really cool. Each time a friendly stack dies, remaining creatures get increased hit points until the end of the round. It's really nice. You start off with that. It's like a faction specific ability. Like only knights can get this. Like a necromancer can't get this. A dungeon master can't get this. So on and so forth. It's really pretty cool. And for the first time, we're going to click on this. And remember, when we go to anything that's not basic, secondary skills, an advanced secondary skill comes with it, some opportunities to increase your abilities. So let's click on advanced ascension. And now we have access to a sub skill. So of the sub skills, we've got Fields of Serenity, where if we pick it, temple creatures will deal additional damage and take reduced damage on native terrain, which is grass territory insofar as I'm aware. We could pick Vengeance, meaning that while this Ascension ability is active, my creatures will do bonus damage, and the effect is stackable. So if we have single stacks of swordsmen and we send 5 swordsman stacks out to die bravely in battle, we are actually going to get potentially plus 50% damage. Right? So it's a stackable, tactical sort of an option for you if you want to play specifically on the battlefield in that way. And third, for the sub skills, we could have Purging Touch, which will give our hero a new ability to remove all negative effects from a target. I've never used this before, so we're going to take this just for funsies. We're going to take this Purging effect ability, and in our next fight, we're probably going to have the opportunity to look at it. I don't think that these swordsmen or these Sun Ages are going to negatively impact any of our forces in some way, but it's going to be nice to see where this will kind of fall into our special abilities. There it is. We have the Heroic Strike right here, and now we have access to this Purging Touch. So while there might be a spell or active ability from a certain troop that could do this sort of a thing that removes all negative effects from a target, our hero can now do that at the cost of 1 focus charge. So pretty nifty. I do want to take a look at this Griffin, by the way. Tier 3 creatures, really cool. Magic, they are melee, they do fly, so they ignore obstacles and traps, and they're also alert, so they have 2 counterattacks per round, which is pretty nifty. When upgraded, they can potentially get unlimited retaliations, potentially. And they do have a active ability. It does cost lots of your focus charges, but if you activate this special ability, then for 2 rounds, they are going to get +5 attack and +1 initiative. That's actually pretty cool. So a really cool troop all around. I really like Griffins. A whole flock of Griffins can do a bunch of damage for you. And I'm very excited that we're going to get the chance to use them pretty quickly. So remember that the Sun Aegis and these swordsmen, they do take reduced damage from our ranged creatures. That's okay. That's fine. But for the first time, I'm going to cast a spell. Let's use this Blessing spell so that our basic attacks from our crossbowman stack does additional damage. And let's just go. We can either kill 2 of these Sun Aegis, doing 30 to 40 damage, or we can do 28 to 37 damage. Higher damage here than here, because technically these guys are a little bit further away, right? These guys are just closer to us, and so we get 10% bonus damage. Remember, the further away the enemies are, the more the damage is reduced. That's what that's a function of. But if you're ever wondering what damage is going to look like, you can always scroll over, and it'll tell you the damage range and what you can kind of expect, which I always enjoy. I always enjoy. Griffins are to the front. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. The enemies all wait. We are going to get a focus charge in just 1 second, so I'm going to plan on focusing my firepower on these creatures over here, these swordsmen at the top, because I think that my heroic strike is going to take out many of these Sun Aegis. It does. Down to 1 with only 5 HP remaining. It says 5 out of 15 remaining, so not too bad there. Let's focus fire on the top stack, knowing that this stack is mostly neutralized. And what do you think? Should we let the Griffins have some fun against this one guy? I think that we will. Rather than let the swordsman go, we're just going to skip on the swordsman turn and let the Griffins get into the fight. Caca. I say, caca, indeed. Experience, dead enemies, and for our trouble, 1,000 gold per day. Congratulations, you've completed the first intermediate task and captured all the nearby mines. Remember, we have the main quest here, defeat the enemy, complete all intermediate tasks, and it was a sawmill, ore mine, and the gold mine. We have now done that. Now build up a city, strengthen the army, and play at your own pace. When you're ready, move along the road to the main goal. You got it. Okie dokie, no problem. Cool. So at this point, I'm going to just play the game at what I would consider to be something of a normal pace. As things come up, sure, I will absolutely explain it. But for now, I think I can just kind of pick up the pace just a tiny bit. As mechanics show up, I will explain them. During your adventures, you'll expand territory, capture new lands, go into new areas. This passage is guarded. You got to do battle to clear the way. And there's a castle beyond that. We must go through these skeleton archers to do that. But for now, I'm just going to grab this new artifact and I'm going to head back with my secondary hero. She's going to bring these forces down to John Johnson. I'm going to use the one hero approach where I have one really strong hero and then one kind of scout type of force that can clear out all these things. That's the way I traditionally prefer to play. But if I'm playing like competitively or against my brother or something like that, of course, you must do what is best for you to be successful. And sometimes multiple heroes is the way to do that. We have this last coin, which will give you +1 luck. It is of the Pauper's Glory artifact variety, as is this fish to the face. So when I put the last coin into John Johnson's artifact slots, he just picked up a lot of additional stats here. So I'm going to take it away. He goes from 4 attack, 3 defense, and some of these additional stats up to 5 attack, 4 defense, 2 luck, and 1 morale. So the coin itself only gives you +1 luck, but when you combine the coin with the fish to the face, with 2 items you get +1 attack and defense and spell power and knowledge and morale and luck. You can see already the cumulative effect of having just 2 of these low-level artifacts. On their own, they're not that good, but together they are mighty fine. So Lyra's gonna pick up all this gold for me. I'll send her back home. And I'm going to leave this treasure chest here just so John Johnson can go pick that up at his own leisure. I think that'll be pretty useful for him. Let's go for the Hippodrome. That's going to allow us to pick up the cavalry units. They are a powerful mounted force. I like them. They're fun. They look good. They're fast. They are a little bit more fragile than I tend to enjoy, but you can't have everything in life, right? A lot of my forces, I'm still trying to figure out relative tankiness, relative damage, and I have some experience with some forces, and with other ones, not so much. Folks, for the first time, we saw that the enemy just picked up good morale. That means that they're going to get another turn. They skipped on that one round right there, and they're going to be back in just a moment. We found, by the way, the upgraded swordsman. We've seen the Sun Aegis upgrade. This is the other upgrade that you can get from the swordsman. This will be the guard captain. Guard captains have about the same hit points. They have less defense, but they are much faster. So they have 4 speed versus 3 speed, right? But they also have higher initiative, and they also have a double attack. So they will hit twice, and they're going to do lots of damage with that double attack. So if you want the more offensive upgrade, go with the guard captain. If you want the more defensive option, go with the Sun's Aegis. So I'm going to focus my damage onto these creatures. I definitely don't want to take a beating from them if I can possibly help it. The 13 swordsmen are going to come across the battlefield just a little bit quicker, right into the teeth of my 80 swordsmen. That's not even fair. That's oof. Not good. Not good. But let's let the Griffins, 5 Griffins, a tier 3 unit, go against these upgraded tier 1 creatures. How do they fare? They do pretty good. We did get the good luck there, so we actually had an increased damaging strike, and these 3 units only did, it looks like, 5 damage. So sure, I got John Johnson beefing up my defense by +2, but in general, you can kind of get a sense for how strong are these upgraded tier 1 creatures as compared to this tier 3 creature. And truthfully, the tier 3 creature, as you would expect, is pretty good. That would be like the difference between what? A gremlin from the Tower faction in Heroes 3 up against an Iron Golem. That's kind of what you would expect, right? That's kind of what you expect. And it feels like they almost tried to mirror those relative power strengths from tiers, as opposed to Heroes 2, where there's a huge difference between low tier creatures and top tier creatures. Heroes 3 tended to kind of make it a more gentle slope in power creep from tier to tier of creature. Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era is closer to Heroes 3 and beyond in the way that tiers of creatures ramping strength is affected. We have the ability to get the advanced scouting, advanced defense, or we've got basic summon avatar. Folks, if you see basic summon avatar, even for a knight, I actually think it's a really good choice. It gives you a unique battle spell where you can summon an avatar that gets stronger based on your power and knowledge. It's really freaking useful. It's really useful, actually. I'm kind of excited to show you what it does in just a second here. Let's see if we can make this happen. Oh, look, we're actually going to lose some pretty good forces. Let's fight this fight just to make sure that we do a little bit better. Do we have the spell points for it? It doesn't look like we even have the spell points for it. John Johnson? Hold on, there it is. Okay. If you're looking for your spells and you're not finding them, there are these tabs on the far right side. If I click on one of the tabs, right now I'm currently only on Daylight Magic. If I click again, then it shows me all the spells I have in my spell book. And so this is what we're looking for. Basic Summon Avatar is going to have 90 hit points, deal 30 points of damage, yada, yada, yada. We got 14 out of 30 spell points. We can cast it in any of these highlighted areas close to my troops. Alternatively, I can move my Griffins down the battlefield. And then when it's somebody else's turn, I can then do this Basic Summon Avatar, and look how much further I can cast it. So I like this Basic Summon Avatar because if this was ranged creatures, in one turn, I can move a creature down the battlefield, cast this new unit, and then they can go and bother the ranged enemies, and that can save you a ton of points. That can save you a ton of stuff. And so I'm very happy whenever I get the opportunity for this Basic Summon Avatar. I think it's not just a little bit worthwhile, I think it's super worthwhile. Highly recommend you take that. Between that and logistics, hey, you got to figure out what works best for you. That's all I can say in that matter. Let's see, I think we're going to take oodles of damage. This is not a very strong avatar here. We killed one swordsman and we're going to lose like half our HP. Like a third. 44 points of damage out of 90, not too bad. But we're going to work on this stack right here, and we're just going to let the ranged creatures try and bring them down as best as they can. Heroic Strike to help pepper down the enemy. 15 down to 11. And then the 22 Sun Aegis, I'm going to try and get my big stack of 80 swordsmen to deal with them. And it looks like if you look at the turn order, it's going to go my Griffins, my swordsmen, and then their creatures here. That's because even though this is an upgraded creature with 7 initiative, John Johnson is the man, and he's got that ability to make sure that the swordsmen do just a little bit better. So that's what you can expect out of that. Let's let the Griffins fight here, and I'm sure that 80 swordsmen are going to really obliterate these Sun Ages pretty well, pretty effectively. We're going to kill 11 to 17. We took out most of them. How about that? One enemy on the retaliation on the death there. Not too bad. And do note that, well, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't even realize it. But at some point, yeah, we sent a single stack of creatures down that died somewhere. Did I do that? I must have done that, because right now, if you're looking for where your active abilities are, like spells and battlefield things, things that are affecting you either negatively or positively, you can see on the left side or the right-hand side, you can see green arrow or like a red arrow. That will indicate to you if this unit is under some special effect. So if I click on whatever unit it is, in the bottom left, it'll show me where their special abilities that are affecting them are. In this case, our hero's ability to have Ascension, 20% max HP, is currently active, so we must have lost a whole stack somewhere. I don't remember doing that, but we must have. It was this guy right here. Yeah. We lost that one guy, and now all of our creatures got 20% bonus damage. Pretty good. Like to see it happen. And like to see the use of the basic summon avatar. Cool. Losses look acceptable, no problems. And we're just going to continue on from there. Let me get caught up on chat real quick, because I like chat and I like spending time with you all. With skills like always do max damage and take minimum damage, definitely. Otherwise, the skill would be OP. Roman is discussing with... Oh, I forget who you're discussing it with. Star VT. Roman was discussing the idea of the damage ranges between the units. And 5 to 9, for example, for the Griffins, like that's a kind of a big deal. If you get the low end of damage and you just get unlucky, that can be pretty bad. But yeah, if you do have your hero that has the special ability that allows you to do max damage or minimum damage, that could be a big deal. That Paragon special ability, all allies always deal max or take minimum damage. Yeah, pretty big deal. And then let's see. Oh, and Alina is doing good with her crafting. It's going well. Working on the dragons, green, red, and black, and bone dragons to celebrate 3 decades of heroes. That makes me very happy. Roman, I'm glad you're feeling better. Hopefully everybody's feeling better. This is the time of the year where people just get sick. Like, if you're not drinking enough water, go drink water. Let's take a break and I don't know, let me get caught up on chat. Let's take a 5-minute break so that way I can go hydrate and I can make sure I don't burn out. If we're going to play Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era all next week, because I took work off just to play this game, then we're going to need to pace ourselves. So let's keep an eye out on that. Let's plan on getting caught up on chat, and we'll take a 5-minute break, okay? And Bearded Man says, if it's early access, people can request the early access to the game on Steam. So yeah, this is the demo, and then early access is set to be released in 2026. I'm not sure exactly when in 2026. I don't think that the developers know just yet, but they are taking the cautious approach. They want to make sure they have a really nice finished product before anything else happens. So, and let's see. Rise to Ruin, wasn't sure about the underground, but he does see an icon right here. I don't know. I forget what these are. And I can't right click on them. I don't know what these are. I feel like I should know what those are, but I'm not too sure. And then this right here, if I click on this is just my map settings. Oh, I guess I should show you this. Map settings, you can do toggle grid. If you're the kind of player that likes to have a grid, you can have the grid on. You can see the danger zones. So if I hit Alt, hold on, if I hit Control, wait, hit Shift. Which one is it? Danger zones, you can toggle danger zones so they look like this, but there's a key that'll let you do it. I thought it was Alt. Maybe it's not Alt. I forget. Z for zones. Okay, so if you're looking for some hotkeys here, you can either go directly into here, or you can hit Z, which will toggle the border zones, right? As you can see there. Whoa, what'd I do? Or you can hit X, and that'll actually trigger kind of the area that you can't reach because the enemy is guarding that little area. It's actually kind of useful on single player maps that are randomly generated. There's a lot of stuff on the adventure map, and it's actually kind of useful for me to pull this up occasionally just so I can make sure I'm plotting my path correctly and not doing something silly. So kind of nifty to see there, but I don't really know what these two things are. I don't think I've ever used those. Oh, maybe I should. Maybe I should. Okay. And Borgesser agrees. Game looks good, though. Heroes games are no longer the games that I enjoy playing, only watching. Well, I hope that I can play it at a pace and I can explain my thought process so that you enjoy watching it. If you ever have any feedback from me, folks, I always love feedback because I like improving. And if I'm going to spend my time here, and if you're going to spend your time here, we might as well spend our time productively and having a really nice time. It just sounds good to me anyway. That sounds like what we should do. So let me know. Bryce Ruin asks, do we have any plans to upload a new video tonight? You're flying to Toronto, and it would be awesome to watch a playthrough on the plane. Yeah, tell you what, if you'd like, I'm just going to plan on uploading this as soon as I can. I'll double check to see the conditions with Twitch and streaming, and I think that they want you to wait a little bit of time or something. I'll check into that, but if I can, I'll upload a video for you tonight. Sirenus, hello, nice to have you here. Welcome, welcome. How do I find out what curse my hero has? You took an artifact? Oh, so yeah, if you go to, there's an adventure map object. It's basically like like from Heroes of Might and Magic 3, it's like the Warrior's Tomb, where you can get an artifact, but you will be cursed for it. It doesn't actually really show you, but if you click on your hero, you will notice generally that like your luck and morale will go way, way down. So, test it out. Look before you go to that adventure map object and you were going to pick up a curse. Make sure that you just check your morale and your luck beforehand. It will tell you it's going to be like a minor curse, a major curse, an expert curse. It'll tell you like how bad it's going to be. But as far as I'm aware, it should only affect morale and luck. If it's really bad, it might impact some of your other stats, but don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Okay. Bryce Ruin says, I noticed that they haven't implemented highlighting the troop on the mouse over in the turn order bar. Yeah, I think that you're right. It's funny how F Heroes 2 has that, but they haven't gotten it here yet. It's funny. That's okay. Alina the Gnome likes the sound effect for the horse riding. Good, good. Happy to see that. Chris, we'll catch you later. Toble's in the chat. Hello, Toble. Nice to have you here. Hi, chat. You can't stay, but I'm glad to see you here for the time being. We'll catch you on the flip side. And Tanil as well. Tanil, hello, Mr. Fox. Hello, Tanil. Nice to have you here. Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's welcome to have you back. It's always a pleasure to see you there. Okay. Danger zone is X. Borders is 0. There you go. Toble knows. Toble knows. Toble's been playing the demo himself and having a fun time with it. And Tanil also has just tried the demo, didn't like it. For those that do, it's great. I hope Heroes of Might and Magic thrives. Yeah, and I think that there's still going to be a lot to be had with this game. But this is, I think that for the people that are not sure if they're going to like it or not, I do believe that the demo is going to give you a good first look. I do believe that based off the demo, you're going to be able to tell whether you like it or not. So I think that that's totally valid, and hopefully everybody just tries it for themselves so they can see if they like it or not. Okay, folks, we are caught up on chat, and I am going to take a 5-minute break, so don't go anywhere. We will continue the rest of this playthrough in just a moment or two, and we will see how we can take this castle and this dark necromancer castle in the far corner in just a moment. After that, we're going to go into a single-player scenario where we're going to be on apocalyptic enemies and apocalyptic resources. That's going to be fun. I hope we win. We will see how it goes, but give me a 5-minute break, and we'll be right back. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, we are back, folks. Alrighty, so just as a quick recap, we've got our castle here. We know that we've already built today. We've got one hero currently hanging out there. This is our scout. We've got some forces, including griffins, and from the hippodrome, these cavalry units we could bring to the front. I think we're going to wait on that for just a moment. And then we have our Mr. John Johnson, our beefy burly man, out here in the big wide world. We're going to check out this monastery right now. So it is currently month 1, week 1, day 6, and I don't know if we can actually defeat this enemy. I don't think we can. Oh wait, hold on. Mountain Monastery is just stats? I thought I had to actually defeat somebody for there. Interesting. I've got a little bit like a spreadsheet where if I want to, I can check it out to make sure I'm making the most appropriate decisions on the adventure map. Apparently I still need to update my internal Rolodex to remember that this just gives us stats. So this will increase our attack, defense, and spell power and knowledge by 1 for 5,000 gold. We will definitely do that. And let's go pick up another artifact along with these other pauper artifacts for us. This looks like with no losses here, and the enemy is completely defeated. We're just going to accept that without fighting the fight. We'll take the experience, and we got the choice between Expert Ascension, Basic Primal Magic, or Basic Battlecraft. So for the basic battlecraft, when a creature waits in battle, they gain attack until the end of the round. And when they skip their turn, they gain defense until the end of the round. Likewise, we have the basic primal magic, which will allow us to learn primal spells, which is in the School of Magic. I'm going to go with this primal magic for now, as opposed to the expert ascension, just because I want to get the opportunity to maybe use some high tier spells later on. We're going to pick up the straw hat, which goes into this slot right here, and remember, it does feed into this Pauper's Glory, but you have break points here, so you have to get to 2, 4, or 6 items in order to get these extra bonuses. When we get one more of these Pauper's Glory items, then we will have an additional attack, defense, spell power, knowledge, morale, and luck. But for now, it's just a nice to wear. It's just stylish. Hey man, it's just stylish. I don't got to explain anything. It's just stylish. We're going to pick up the Threshold Basilica. It's going to allow us to pick up these Inquisitors, which are a surprisingly difficult to use kind of a unit. I guess I'm kind of struggling with them. I feel like they're good. Like, I know that they're good. I feel like I don't know the best way of using them, which feels kind of bad. Anyway, we're going to get into what those units are as soon as we can, but I'm going to actually wait. I could go into this resources here or execute excellence, increasing the duration of friendly spells on me for 1 additional round, or getting some additional gold and ore and wood. I'm going to wait until I can get to either elite swordsman or crossbowman. I'm kind of leaning towards the swordsman just because we got John Johnson already. He's already really good with his special hero ability, increasing the growth in my cities by +1 and increasing their speed, initiative, and HP. I kind of want to go with that and just, turn a strength into an overwhelming strength. But I think that you have a lot of room for justification for why different choices might suit you personally better. Okay, we're going to wait right outside of this ore storage. Because it's day 6, we're going to hit end turn. Do you want to end your turn? You do have some units that have not taken all their movement points. Correct. I'm going to do this right now because we're going to wait 2 days here with this hero, with this champion, while John Johnson returns from the desert. Because the stables are going to give me plus 20% movement at the beginning of the week, I'm going to position myself for the beginning of a new week very quickly. We do want to make a purchase. It's going to be trying to get our last building before day 7. Like the Sundrop Chapel, we're going to miss out on that because of the Mage Guild. Because we went for a strong economy, that is going to cost us some amount of troops. That feels kind of bad. That kind of is what it is. So alternatively, I can go for the walls, which is required to get into resource depots and stuff. I'm going to go for the walls. The only reason why the walls make sense for me right now is that they are a prerequisite for some of these other buildings. And when I click on these walls, I have the choice between giving a defensive upgrade to these walls. You must pick one of them. Additional passageways, traps, or some additional tier 1 creatures. Sure, let's go with some tier 1 creatures and just hope that that's useful for 5,000 gold and 5 ore. Defensive walls will show up. Boom, our castle looks much better. And more importantly, next turn we can build the treasury, which will be pretty useful for us. Okay. Do we have any faction law points? We do. We're up to 3. Let's make sure that we pick up these elite swordsmen right now. We've enacted the law, and because we've used enough of our faction law points for the tier 1 factions laws, we can now upgrade into the tier 2 stuff, which is pretty nifty. So that's going to be things like Heroes of Tales, which will increase our morale by 1. Architect's Mastery, which if you get Architect's Mastery, you can get +1 buildings per day. You can build 2 buildings per day in any castle you own. It's not just limited to the Temple faction. It's any of them, which is nuts. Nuts. So, Architect's Mastery, pretty good, but very costly. Alternatively, you can increase the amount of griffins you get and increase their HP and their stats. Your light weavers, you can make them stronger. You can have swift reflexes where your initiative goes up for all your creatures. And you can have a vengeful strike where your counterattacks do bonus damage. So we'll see what we end up picking. Right now we're out of these faction law points. We're going to just skedoodle our way out. Day 7, hit end turn and go. Darby T says, oh, you can get a stack of units when you buy a wall. That's interesting. It gives you more time to attrition the attacker. Yeah. And if you have just like one minor force, if you just have, I don't know, 1 swordsman here or 24 swordsmen, having an additional stack, that might be enough to win you the game. I will tell you that the defenses in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, they are a little overtuned. Yeah, I have fought against enemies in their castles, and they're doing way too much damage right now. I don't know if the demo build has them doing too much damage right now or not, but In the build I've played so far, it's a lot. It's too much. It's too much. They need to rein in the damage from turrets and stuff. I don't know why I need to lose an angel every single time that the enemy attacks me. That just seems a little heavy-handed. But anyway, 750 experience there. We're going to pick up the stables because of course we are. And we're going to skedoodle on down here and take out some more of these swordsmen. Any losses? No losses. We're just fine with that. Some additional treasure, some additional experience. Oh, and unfortunately, we were one day too late. We can get this secondary skill called Basic Recruitment, which will give you +4 to all tier 1 creatures in all cities. It's kind of good. It's kind of good. And I believe that you can get multiple heroes with Basic Recruitment, and you can absolutely overwhelm your opponent with tier 1 creatures. If you are the Necromancers and you get Basic Recruitment on like 3 or 4 heroes and you go for 2 months, you can get so many skeleton archers. It's absolutely bonkers. Absolutely crazy. Alternatively, basic battle magic. This converts a certain amount of your spell power and knowledge into attack and defense, which is really good if you're trying to be a heavy spellcaster, but you also want your troops to do some damage. So basic battle magic is pretty good. I'm still going to go with this advanced primal magic though, because I want some of the secondary skills. If you have advanced primal magic, you can learn up to tier 4 primal spells. With basic primal magic, you can learn level 3 and below. With advanced, you can learn 4 and below. And your spells will do better and they will cost less. We're going to take the sub skill. We could either take Sharpest Teeth for -1 level to all enemy primal spells. We could take Primal Force, in which negative and positive effects used by the hero and friendly creatures last 1 additional round. Or we can just say, look, I just want the flat +4 spell power if I'm casting a primal spell. This makes a lot of sense because primal spells are generally very combat damage oriented. This is things like your Firebolt, not your Magic Arrow, because Magic Arrow is like a hero special ability now. But most of your damaging spells, yeah, having this +4 to the spell power for those spells is pretty good. So just something to consider. And we're going to make our way back to our main castle, picking up this additional wooden ring along the way, and hopefully making some final purchases. Treasury, we're getting 4,750 gold a day. Let's get the treasury. That's going to be an additional 3k gold per day. That's going to really pay off some dividends really quickly. We're going to do that for now in turn because our forces are out of movement points. And because we got the 1 faction law point now and I want to make some purchases pretty soon, let's just do the resource riches +1. Pick up some additional gold and resources to make that happen. Very cool. Rise to Ruin says the initiative law looks pretty powerful, like the artifact in Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Yeah, you're referring to kind of like the necklace of swiftness that gives you like +1 speed. Yeah, I think it's very powerful. Being able to go first is always valuable. I would say especially so here. Especially so here in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Being able to manipulate turn order can be the difference between taking some amount of losses, taking no losses, or having a complete win. It just depends. So yeah, I think that speed is going to be pretty critical for a lot of folks here. Okay, I do want to upgrade some of my dwellings, but we've got currently nearly 60 units of alchemical dust. Note that it takes 10 alchemical dust to upgrade our swordsmen. It takes 30 alchemical dust to upgrade our griffins. It takes 50 alchemical dust to get the hippodrome, and 20 for the crossbowmen. So you got to be really specific about which ones you want, because until we find more alchemical dust, this is just all we have, right? So for now, I'm going to go for the Muse because I really think that the marksmen are one of the most powerful units in the game. So we're going to upgrade for the first time one of our dwellings so that it will give us the base level creature and its upgrade. So for 2k gold and the 20 alchemical dust, let's upgrade the Muse. And then we're going to use for the first time this tab on the left-hand side that allows you to upgrade creatures. So when certain conditions are met, creatures are transformed into upgraded versions. We have met that threshold, and we're going to make these upgrades pretty quickly. We can use this button over here, or this is indicating we can also click on them to make sure that we are upgrading ideally. By the way, it says you can only upgrade creatures in a city that has the corresponding upgraded dwelling. If you're a longtime Heroes fan, that makes a lot of sense to you. Okay, I'm going to use this upgrade creatures deal here. Right now, it's looking at the garrison, so it's only looking at these creatures here. We don't have the upgrade for the guard captain or the Sun Aegis, but if I go here, I click here, it'll look at Mr. John Johnson's army. And if I look at my crossbowmen, I can see what the stats are for the 2 upgrades. So if I go for the Ostringers, we're going to be going up by 1 speed, and they're going to have some special abilities. So for the cost, you say +1 speed, that's not very good. Well, true, but if you look, we have this view from the heavens, this fine bolts, things like that. What it really gives you in this case, the upgrade will give you a double shot. So you will strike twice when performing the ranged strike. That's really what you're paying for. You're paying for in the upgrade this double shot, which is pretty nifty. You still have the active ability with the fine bolts where you can do double damage or 20% damage if you want. You still have the increased hero sight radius on the adventure map if you want it, you know. But when it comes right down to it, this upgrade is basically paying for a little bit of extra speed and a double shot. So good to know. And then if I click over here, it'll take me over to the marksman. Now the marksman I think is just better in general. So it has this attack increased, speed increased, and its initiative goes up by a lot, which feels really, really nice. But when you look at its abilities here, I note that it's got the sharpshooter ability, meaning that marksman will deal full damage at any range. There will be no damage drop off. So if it's turn 1, I'm going to be doing full damage. No matter where the enemy is on the map, I'm going to be doing full damage. I think that the marksman upgrade is my personal favorite, although I know that you can use this double shot damage to do some nifty tactics at close range, right? There's some pretty nifty stuff you can do there. I personally prefer this guaranteed full damage at any range. That just makes a lot of sense to me. And also the marksman, their fine bolts effect is a little bit better. It deals 40% ranged damage as opposed to 20% ranged damage. So their special ability does a little bit more damage, and they have a new special ability, which is piercing shot. When they attack an enemy, it'll do reduced damage on the marksman's shot, but that means that creature is going to take additional damage from every other creature for the rest of the game. Not the rest of the game, but for the rest of the round. So a lot of tactical decisions. What makes the most sense? Do you want the flat upgrade? Do you want the upgrade where you're just doing double damage and none of this extra special stuff? Or do you want the marksman and maybe you have this tactical ability here and the damage at range? The point is that you have options, and I don't necessarily believe that one option is that much weaker than the other, but I do know which one is my favorite because it fits my playstyle better, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna just combine all my forces here into one. And then we're just going to upgrade all 35. It's going to cost 10k gold needed for the upgrade. We're going to go into this marksman, and I don't have the upgrade for the griffins or for the swordsman right now. So we're going to get out of this area here. I'm going to remember, I'm going to right click. Shoot, my bad. I'm going to left click. And when you left click on this little bubble, it's going to indicate what type of unit you're going to spit out. Right now, it's highlighted on just base level crossbowmen. If I click on this one, it's going to spit out the Stringer upgrade. And if I click on this one, it means that whenever I hit buy all, it's going to buy only the marksman. As far as I'm aware, there is no, I don't know, actually, is there a cost difference? I wish I had one more here. I wish I had one crossbowman here, just so I could see if there's a cost difference to upgrade after the fact or not. The problem is I'm not sure. You'd think I would know that by now. Anyway. Marksman it is. So be it. Let it be written. Let it be done. Let's bring out all the rest of these creatures, and let's just carry on our merry way with what we have. Very good. Very good. Steeson says, thank God you're not the necromancers. Oh, Steeson, my friend, how are you? Hope you're doing very, very well. Nope, we're not the necromancers. We are alive, people. We are alive, and we are feeling frisky. We are ready to go and win the day, defeat whatever enemies might come against us. I got no qualms with kicking some serious necromancer butt. And at this point, I don't think that I need to do much more than what I currently have. I think that this army is actually probably big enough for me to get out of the rest of this scenario anyway. Okay, so on we go. Star says, is there an artifact that eliminates ranged penalty like the golden bow in Heroes of Might and Magic 3? Yes, there is an artifact that eliminates the penalty, and there is an artifact that allows you to do ranged attacks even when the enemy is right in front of you. So there are some opportunities for those sorts of adjustments, really kind of these game-changing adjustments. So yeah, worth noting, that is definitely a thing. Okay. Mage Guilds are, of course, how you get spells. If you begin your day in a castle that has the Mage Guild, you will get full spell points. You spend your spell points until they're all out, and of course you get the bonus of whatever damage you possibly can have. So let's bring this hero back. She's our spellcaster. We're going to send her back to the castle. we're going to go to our Mage Guild up here. You can click here on this little button, or you can click here for the Temple faction to click on the spells. You got tier 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 spells. Note that Dimension Door is a guaranteed neutral adventure map spell if you can get up to tier 5. Town Portal is a guaranteed adventure map spell at tier 4. Guaranteed this Gate of Light spell that gives you like a little mini Dimension Door sort of a thing. And then the Shadow Flight lets you fly freely across the map. That's a level 2 type of spell. And then the Second Wind just gives you some additional movement points. All of these cost spell points, but for now we are only at a level 1 Mage Guild. Racking up these additional things are going to take a while. We've got a couple of different spells here. So first off, note that these spells are grouped by the school of magic that they're in. So we have the primal spells over here. There's always 4 primal spells you can have: Ground Sight, Lightning Bolt, Wean, and Thick Hide. You have 4 daylight spells at level 1. You have Haste, you have Healing Water, you have Blessing, you have Bird's Eye. For the arcane magic, you've got these 3. You've got Early Start, you've got Energize, and you have Energy Explosion. And for Nightshade, you've got Web, Despair, Unnatural Calm, and Enlarge Shadow. I'm going to try and play around with these as much as possible because it's really, really fun. But for now, just know that there are access to these different spells, and they are, again, grouped by their school of magic. And the scholars wrote the spells in the stars, and that's why there's this theming with these heroes of might and magic. The heroes, scholars, wrote these spells in the stars. So very cool. We'll get into those in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to take this arena hero that has now learned this new spell. I'm going to wait for first thing in the morning. She's going to wait until we can get some additional creatures for her. And then she's going to set off, and I'm going to see if I can lose her for fun. We're going to purchase the Sundrop. We're going to purchase the Sundrop Chapel, where we can get the Light Weaver units, a really cool ranged creature that I do enjoy. And I'm going to send her to go fight some low-level creature, and I'm going to hope that she's going to have enough spell damage to win one of these fights just with her own magic. Alternatively, our big army is blowing through 67 of these skeleton archers with no losses. That's actually incredible. That's crazy. That feels pretty good to me. We're going to accept that, because of course we are. And for the first time, we see a Griffin Rookery. That's the adventure map object for Griffins here on the adventure map. Will we take any losses? 15 swordsmen goes down, no problems. 8 Griffins we pick up. And we're going to take the 1,000 experience, and we'll go straight for this basic leadership. Basic leadership for the +1 morale. Can't go wrong. Cannot go wrong. We'll pick up 750 experience from the treasure chest, and we will skedoodle on into this new castle, Heavenspire. Will there be enemies that we have to defeat or not? I don't know. But there's a gray flag that is currently flying. That means it is a neutral sort of encampment. So on to the new day. Let's see if this lady, let's see if she can defeat. Yeah. We're gonna use her spells and the Light Weavers to take out this group of gnats. They are the tier 1 hive creatures. We're gonna have her go and do that in just a second. And folks, for the first time, we've captured a new castle. It was a neutral castle, it is now our own. We've successfully captured this city. Complete the exploration of the nearby lands and prepare for a longer trip. Ahead of you is your first serious opponent, the enemy hero blocking the way to the next goal. We will keep that in mind, but for now, let's take all of the resources we can in this area, and then we'll use that to move forward. There are, for some adventure map objects, not tiers 1 through 3, but I believe for tiers 4 and beyond, if you're going to take an adventure map neutral dwelling, there are going to be creatures that guard it. You have to defeat the guardians if you want to get the creatures on a week-to-week basis. So be ready to fight if you want the reward hidden inside. Oh, this is not the one. What? Okay, I guess Light Weavers are not the one. Maybe it's down here. Legion's Memorial. Let's go do this. The Legion's Memorial indicates that someone's guarding the place. We can either fight the guards for the reward or retreat and return later. We're going to fight this fight, and we're going to fight this fight regardless of the losses. We're going to do battle because this is a bank, and banks have a little bit of a different format than a normal fight usually would. So we can still do our pre-game sort of changes here on the map. We can make sure that we adjust our forces however we want to. But we are in the very center of the map, and there's going to be enemies on both sides that we have to deal with. So it's going to be our cavalries for the first time, our tier 5 creatures with 85 HP each, doing 10 to 14 damage with 22 attack, 19 defense. Good luck, good morale, high initiative, high speed. These creatures are going to do a bunch of damage. For those of you that love Heroes of Might and Magic 3, do note that the cavalry do have a jousting bonus for +3 damage percent per hex that they travel. So the further that they travel, the more damage that they do. These creatures are inspiring, and just by having them in your forces, all your other enemies, or rather your other forces, are going to have +1 morale, which feels awesome. And these creatures do ignore 20% of the enemy's defense, which is excellent. I think I'm going to send them right for these creatures. I want to take out the creatures that are not the Aegis defenders. I want to take out the captains because they have the double hex attack. I want to prevent damage wherever I can. I'm going to send my griffins against these enemy marksmen. And in fact, that was the one that was about to go next. Due to my high morale, my griffins can potentially move. I don't have enough spells to really do something here nifty, but because I got the basic summon, I'm going to summon my little avatar so that they can maybe deal with these astringers, and I'm going to end up just waiting on the griffins. I will send my 119 swordsmen to go deal damage against these Aegis captains. My 50 marksmen are going to do full damage against the defenders there. And for the first time, we see our Inquisitors. These are tier 6 creatures, 1 tier higher than the cavalries. They are melee attackers. They have 150 HP each, 32 attack, 32 defense, 19 to 23 damage. These are little chunky powerhouses. And they have this nice special ability where they will ignore 20% of the enemy's attack when they're struck. So they just take 20% reduced damage, which is awesome. They do have 2 special abilities. They have this Infuse Armor ability, which will increase their defense by 5 and their speed by 1, and will dispel any negative effects like web or slow. They will take care of all of that. But it does cost quite a bit in order to get that Infuse Armor going. Likewise, they have this other alternative attack if you want to pay for it with your focus points. It's this Celestial Flail. You will hit the target and all adjacent enemies. It does have a cooldown, so you can only use it a few times. Tell you what though, let's do this Celestial Flail. Let's attack here. And as you can see, it says it's going to attack not only these astringers, but also the 2 hexes around them. So let's just attack there. There's no reason to use this right now, except that I want to use my focus points, and I don't think that the heroic strike against these 10 creatures is going to be that useful. So let's just have them do a big old womp. It's kind of the difference between like a small yappy dog, like your little swordsman, and your big Saint Bernard. Your Inquisitors are Saint Bernard. When they hit, they go boof and just destroy them. Oh my goodness. Stuntman Mike with the follow. Thank you so much, Stuntman Mike. It's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Of course, we're playing Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, and we're having super tons of fun with it. In case you're not familiar with FixFox, I'm FixFox. In case you're not familiar with what we do here, I play tons of Heroes of Might and Magic. I love Heroes of Might and Magic. Specifically, I've really come to love and appreciate the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 game through the F-Heroes 2 edition. It's been really lovely, wonderful, revitalizing. And I've been playing it constantly, about weekly for the last 2 years. So I've also got about 40 hours worth of Olden Era through the Discord. The Discord build that was available to the longtime participants of the Unfrozen Discord. So I've got some time with Olden Era there, and now we are playing this demo and having a ton of fun with it. So nice to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Soren Denmark's in the chat too, by the way. I just realized. Hello, Soren Denmark. Nice to have you here. Hi, FixFox. Long time no see. I hope you are happy with Olden Era. Sir, I am. It's a pleasure to see you there. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm loving Olden Era. I understand it's not going to be everybody's favorite, but I do certainly enjoy it. By the way, I just went from one castle to the other. I can navigate without having to click out. That feels really, really good. But yeah, I do enjoy it. I think that there is... Here's the deal. I think that the Unfrozen developers are real true fans of the genre and of the series. I think that they care about it and they want to see it do exceptionally well. If they weren't real true fans, I think that this game would be a flop. Because they're real true fans, even if they have some creative differences that you don't in yourself like or enjoy or appreciate, I do believe that they are doing everything just with differences. It's not better or worse, it's just different, in my opinion. And I think that they're doing a great job of implementing the core mechanics and strategies and themes that made Heroes of Might and Magic such a paramount in long-term strategy gaming. I think they're doing a great job. So far, am I loving Olden Era? I am. I don't think it's just a good game. I think it's an excellent game. I think is excellent, and I'm excited to see where they take it from here. It's good now, but remember, it's in early access, and it's going to be in early access for a year. It's going to be in early access for a year. So as good as they're trying to polish it up and make it nice now, I'm anticipating it's going to be a lot of changes in the next year just to make it even better. For the first time, folks, we find stone liths, or portals, if you'd like to call them that. While exploring the map, you might encounter these portals. They will transport you from one location to another. They're always connected to another portal, and sometimes they are guarded by a neutral squad, which feels kind of bad. Folks, these portals, you can click on them, and if you click on them and there's a guardian on them, it doesn't appear outside of the portal. And so you have to right click on the portal just to make sure that there's no enemies guarding it. Otherwise, you'll send a hero with one gnat or one troglodyte, and then they will die immediately to the force that's guarding the portal. I wish that there was an easier way to kind of identify that issue, but you know, that's maybe some feedback for the future. Maybe we can give some feedback to the developers and they can find a way to make sure FixFox doesn't do something silly like that in the future. Okay, folks, we got these upgraded gnats. Base level gnats are the tier 1 creature for the Hive faction. The Ravager gnat is one of their upgrades. They've got a long reach, so they do damage not just directly adjacent to them, but 1 hex away. They have this Hive Mind Vanguard sort of a deal. Long story short, they have increased attack and damage dealt by 5%, depending on how many other creatures are in the Hive faction. Hive creatures get stronger if they've got other types of creatures with them. And this is true of all of the different Hive creatures. This is not just true for the Ravager Gnat. But they do have the special ability that they do additional damage if the creature that they're attacking is of a higher tier. So these guys are tier 1 creatures against my tier 4 Lightweavers. They're going to be doing bonus damage. It's going to be 3, 6, 9. Is it 9 or 12% bonus damage? They're going to be doing bonus damage if they attack these Lightweavers. So worth noting. Good to keep note of that there. And this secondary hero, she's got 30 spell points. We are going to, for the first time, cast a spell. What do you think, folks? Lightning Bolt or Fireball? You tell me. Which one do you want to see me cast? We will do that first. But let me get caught up on chat real quick. So you can fly by day 2? No, there is some additional... I apologize. You're right. You don't simply get the adventure map spell based off of the level of the Mage Guild you have. You do have to explore your areas, and you generate some points by exploration. So scouting, for example, is actually much more powerful of a secondary skill than it is in other games, because there's some reason to do some additional scouting. Additional scouting and clearing the adventure map, it does actually give you access to those spells quicker and earlier, and it does give you like there's a bonus in any area that you control, if that makes any sense. Like there's specific bonuses if you control certain areas. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that in a little bit, but to your point, yes, I was incorrect on that. We'll keep an eye on that. Is it the same? Is it the same? It is the same. So tiers 1 through 5, those adventure map spells are going to be the same from game to game, playthrough to playthrough. Tundar's in the chat. Hello, Tundar. Nice to have you here. Welcome. It's a pleasure to see you there. And by the way, Soren Denmark does like the music. It's very good. Good. I like it. Okay. And yeah, Soren Denmark, it's weird that the cavalry is not the second to last here. Yeah, I don't know how much I love having the Inquisitors be so high up. They feel like the Hydra. They feel like they're a top tier creature that's really slow, and that does kind of make me sad, because I like fast troops. For the Knights, I feel like the Knights should be really slow and like maybe tanky and like maybe even fragile in the earlier games, and as they ramp up and get into higher tiers, they should be faster and stronger and so on and so forth. But that's just me. Fair says, I think that the Unfrozen folks are very clearly in love with the Heroes of Might and Magic franchise. It shows. Good. I'm glad that we agree on that. So good stuff. Lightning Bolt is a tier 1 spell for in Denmark, and Fireball is tier 2. So if you're looking at this right now, you've got let's see. So if we mouse over this indicates Lightning Bolt, Primal Magic tier 1 spell, and you can see in the bottom left here, that is the indication of what level of spell it is. So level 1, level 2, right? Above it is the spell points it costs to cast this spell. So we have 30 out of 30. This is 6 spell points per Lightning Bolt, 16 per Fireball, etc., etc. And then the right-hand side here, it indicates how strong that spell is. So this Blessing spell is actually like a +3, because this hero, their special ability is that they cast the daylight magic spells at a higher tier than others. If you hit shift over the spell, you can see that at tier 1, it just indicates that friendly creatures will do additional damage with the basic attacks. But as you upgrade your spell power and as your heroes get more proficient at casting spells, they get additional abilities with the spell casting. In this case, all friendly creatures will deal 15% bonus damage with their attacks. Basic attack damage is from 10% up to 15%, right? So the stronger the spell is, the better effects it's going to be. So big difference between only casting Bless on one creature versus your entire army. And you can upgrade the spells not only through your heroes becoming more proficient at spell casting, but you can also pay to improve your spell casting prowess, which is kind of nifty, if I do say so myself. All right, folks. I don't know. Did anybody say lightning bolt or anything like that? Nobody said it. We're just gonna go for fireball. Get out of my game. Oh, we're going to be doing that a lot. That was satisfying, was it not? Did that feel satisfying to just have that guy explode in a fiery fireball of fire? If it was me and if I was to explode in a fiery fireball of fire, I think that my whole day would be ruined. I hope that those Ravager Gnats' day was completely and utterly ruined. No questions. No questions. Okay, we need to get to this Radiant Forge. We got some things. We do need a Mage Guild as part of the prerequisites. I think that we're gonna be short on gems. No, we're gonna be good on gems actually. Oh, we're gonna pick that up this week. It's day 6, first thing in the morning. We're gonna pick up the Radiant Forge here in this one castle. And then over here, I'm going to just focus on the bank. Yeah, we're just gonna get the bank. Money, 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 money. And then we have 4 faction law abilities. This is going to be a problem. In the other build, there is like a little number that pops up that lets you know how many faction points you have to spend. For some reason, it's not here in the demo, and that really bothers me because you should spend these pretty much as soon as you can. There's no reason not to in some cases. In some cases, you want to save up for like this Architect's Mastery. I can see that. But in other cases, you probably want to spend it as soon as possible because you want the bonuses as soon as possible. I'm going to go with the Swift Reflexes here. Increasing the initiative of my friendly creatures by +1 is actually really solid, as was previously mentioned. So I really like that. We're going to go with that. And my heroes are out of movement points. We've made 2 purchases today. On to the new day. And Bearded Man says, an issue raised regarding hive creatures is how similar they all look to the others. Has that been addressed? I think that that's the reason why hive is not in the demo. Bearded Man, I think that the issue with the hive creatures all looking too similar is the reason that it's not in the demo right now, because they're probably looking at that and they've identified that that's something that they want to rework, which I think is more than just respectable. I think that that's just good from them to say, hey, we've heard the feedback, let's work on this, let's not make that a part of this official demo. And it's cool for me because now I get to play Schism, which I've never played the Schism faction yet, but I'm excited to do so. I'm very excited to do so. We just defeated this Colosseum. If you defeat the guard, you get the cavalry units. We've just defeated the Griffins. We just picked up the cavalries. We're up to 14. That's pretty good. And there's another artifact here. We've got the straw hat, the wooden ring, fish to the face, last coin, and now the rags. These are all just +1s, but we're getting stronger. We're up to the 4-item breakpoint. Once we have all 6 items, once we have the final item for this Pauper's Glory artifact chain, then we are absolutely going to be thrilled because it's going to actually end up being a bunch of stats, which feels really nice. One thing I guess I can look at, we currently have 63 of this alchemical dust, right? If I click on, let's just say the fish to the face, right? If I click on it, it's currently highlighted, and now this button becomes available. It says upgrade. And if you want to upgrade your fish to the face, you can upgrade it so it does additional damage. Right now, it'll tell you, it'll say, right now this gives +1 attack. If you upgrade it, it'll give you +1 more attack. Just to show you that it works, we'll go from 63 to 13 of the alchemical dust, and now this fish to the face does 2 damage. It's not really worth it in this case, in my opinion, but there's some artifacts, if they have the green up arrow in the upper left corner, that means that you can upgrade this artifact, and that could be useful for you. In this case, not my favorite, but we do now have an ability through this new adventure map object to trade for this mystical alchemical dust that we've been unable to find. One of the problems with other Heroes of Might and Magic games is that there comes a point as Fix Fox has said, that it doesn't really matter to me if I send my heroes around just to pick up this random 500 gold from this windmill or this water wheel. The Alchemist Laboratory is the way that you get additional alchemical dust without just finding it on the ground. And you can trade precious resources for the alchemical dust. So if you take 1 unit of gems, mercury, and crystal, you will get 15 alchemical dust. And you could trade as much as you want or as little as you want, but this is the only way you can get alchemical dust here in this Alchemist Laboratory on the adventure map, or by finding it on the ground already pre-made for you. So, for example, as we're going in to build our Radiant Forge here today, we just picked up our base level angel unit. If you want to get into your super awesome upgraded angels, you're going to need this Radiant Forge, and it's going to cost you 100 alchemical dust. You can see how 20 gems and 100 alchemical dust, that all of a sudden feels like it's a pretty high barrier. It feels like that's difficult to achieve, right? So you want to be smart about where you spend your alchemical dust. You want to be smart about how you adjust your troops. I'm happy with this right now because I know that there is something coming up very, very quickly that's going to make it so my alchemical dust is not really going to matter. But you got to be very, very cautious, very careful, very purposeful in the ways that you spend all this. Just my 2 cents on the matter. Okay, alrighty. Well, let's see. And Alina the Gnome, you made it to 1 million tonight. A milli. Very good. Very good. Did I enjoy it, Tundar? Or did she enjoy making it to 1 mil tonight? You would have to ask her, I suppose. Let's see. Yeah, if you could post on the Discord page, the map maker. I don't know if they've got the map maker available to me here or not. We'll check that as soon as we finish this up, because we're about out of this tutorial in just a second, but I'm hoping for that. Oh, Sandro's 1 mil. No, I haven't completed that map just yet. I need to. I still need to, my bad. But yeah, I'm looking. Wait. Sandro's 1 mil? Did I not complete that map? Is that a new map? Is that the new map? Oh, for Alina. Alina's doing the 1 mil. My bad. All right. Sorry, I'm losing track. She will do it. She will do it, and she'll knock it out of the park. She's gonna be awesome with that, I'm sure. I'm excited to see what she does with that. By the way, Star says that they missed the Wizard faction and the Titans as a unit. I don't know what to say here, really. Let me just say, I don't have any inside information at all. But I got a feeling that we're going to be seeing Titans before Olden Era is out of early access. I got a feeling. I got a hunch. Just call it a hunch. So, not if, but when we see Titans, because I'm positive that we're going to see Titans. I'm hoping that they're everything that you wanted them to be, and I hope that they'll be worth the wait. I think that they'll be worth the wait. You're going to have to let me know how you feel on the matter, though. Okay. Marksman, we're going to upgrade them there. Pulling all these forces together. Why is it not letting me do that? I'm not sure why it's not letting me go up and down. We must have too many. Oh, there it is. I had 2 sets of the marksmen, and for some reason I didn't upgrade them like I thought I did. Is I'm out of gold? Because I'm out of gold, that's why. Okay. Well, unfortunately I'm out of gold. Let me see. Can I pick up any more gold anywhere? Yeah, let me just pick up some gold, because I want to send these forces today. 1,500 gold. Give me Mr. Pip. Master Pip, as it were. They're going to send these forces down with me. Oh no, 900 gold? That should still be enough. Marksman, good, good. Yeah, and there we go. And now I can do my adjustments there. So Mr. Pip is going to bring all these forces up. I'm going to do a tier ranking as far as my thoughts on hero special abilities. Believe it or not, having the ability for a hero to get additional XP is actually pretty good in Olden Era, I think. Better than even the Horn of the Abyss changes to the learning secondary skill that other people really enjoyed. I think that Pip is actually a pretty good hero, all things considered. I think that the effect is just fairly strong. I'm open to people disagreeing with that, 100%, but I think it's fairly strong. There are a few heroes I don't actually think are that good, like Mr. John Johnson. The only reason you actually get him is because he starts off with 3 stacks of the Footmen. That's the way I look at it. It's not like picking up Lorelei with Harpies and Heroes, Might and Magic 3. you know, where they can kind of get you into the mid game. Swordsman, you know, but I'm looking forward to kind of giving my thoughts on the different factions, heroes at some point. So we'll do that as soon as we can. In addition to moving around the map and visiting interactive objects, your heroes can encounter an enemy hero. When this happens, a battle will occur. So we will show you the battle in just a second, but we have an enemy hero. For the first time, folks, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Onkos, the enemy hero. He's got skeleton warriors, some skeletons, and some skeleton archers. That's going to be pretty nifty. I'm going to go attack these other archers up here because I want to just get through this fight real quickly. There is some experience. There is a knowledge garden, which is +1 to your knowledge. And folks, we finally did it. We've got the 6 artifacts that go into the Pauper's Glory. And now because of that, we've got oodles and oodles of special extra stats. That feels excellent to me. We're going to back up the road because we're going to try and transfer some troops all the way from here. All the way from here to here to here. Hero chaining, for those of you that don't like it, is going to be a thing in Olden Era. If you don't like it, you do have the single hero mode. So if you really don't like it, I'm not going to say, hey, tough. Like, no, you have some things you can do to make sure that you can still enjoy the game. But just keep that in mind that it can be tactically advantageous to try and make these adjustments. It can be a good idea to try and do some hero chaining. Just saying. All right, folks. With our John Johnson hero and these reinforcements that he's just picked up, not to mention the 6 artifacts, we're going to get our first look here at 2 new units that we haven't really touched on so far. So first and foremost, we have for ourselves the Light Weavers. Now, they are a ranged creature. They do pretty good damage for being tier 4 ranged, and they have a special ability, Inner Light. It will increase a friendly creature's attack and defense by 5 and the speed and the initiative by 1. But remember, this will cost some of your focus charges. Still a really good unit, and the upgrades for the Light Weavers are actually really important because they have a special divergence. One of them is geared towards offensive capabilities like actual hand-to-hand, not hand-to-hand combat, but ranged damage, and then the other one is like a supporting spellcaster. It's a really cool unit, and it actually goes really, really well with the faction ability that allows you to have your abilities, your positive buffs stay on a hero or a unit for 1 additional turn longer. But even as a base level creatures, these Light Weavers are not too bad. And then, folks, for the first time, tier 7 Angels, 250 HP, 42 attack, 38 defense, 50 to 75 damage, 3 luck, 3 morale right now anyway, and then 9 initiative and 4 speed. The initiative is courtesy of John Johnson's abilities and the faction law. So we're seeing the faction laws really on hand here. They don't move particularly quick, but unlike other iterations of Angels in other Heroes games, these ones are ranged. They will do ranged damage, and thus they will struggle with the ranged damage drop-off. That is definitely a thing. They are flying creatures, and they have this Forging Perfection ability. Whenever a positive effect is applied to a friendly creature, it is also applied to the Angel. So if the Light Weaver casts their Inner Light on somebody else, like the Griffins, for example, the Angels will also benefit from that positive spell. So Angels are always going to be super buffed up. They're going to take a lot of punishment, and they can also do some nifty things. Even as this base level creature, they're going to be pretty fantastic. And they do come with their own special ability as well. This is the Refract and Reflect special ability, which will apply a copy of all positive effects currently on this creature to a friendly creature. It does not trigger the Forging Perfection ability. So the idea is that your Angel is going to get all these special buffs on them, and then when it's their special abilities turn, they can then empower and imbue some other big force out here with that buff that they have just kind of soaked in. All the powerful, positive, good energy that they've taken, they're going to release the good and send it to one of their friends. Very cool, very cool. So powerful units, a lot of tactical abilities. Looking at the turn order, we are so much faster than these creatures. I think I'm just going to skip a couple times and let the Angels do some damage. Both powerful and good morale. Very nice, very nice. Otherwise, we will skip, let the marksman do full damage from afar. We will have our slow little Inquisitors walk down the battlefield. This Onkos hero has for the first time done something nifty. So if we go to our indication here of what's been going on, he cast a lightning bolt. My 160 swordsmen, we took 40 points of damage. 2 of our swordsmen died. So for the first time we've had a spell cast against us, that feels kind of bad. I'm not going to cast any spells at this time. I don't think it's necessary. We're just going to let the Light Weavers kill 19 of the skeletons. Maybe the Griffins will get some good morale as they head across the battlefield. They do not. Maybe the Cavalries. They do not. But we will end the battle here, not with the olive branch, but with a spear. All right, and we've defeated our first enemy hero at the cost of 2 of these swordsmen. Very good. For our choices here, I'm going to take the advanced defense. Basic resistance prevents magic damage from impacting you so much. We're going for the advanced defense, and for the sub skill, let's go for either. Let's see, friendly creatures take negative 25% damage from counterattacks. I don't think that's that good. Friendly creatures take 20% reduced damage from ranged and long-range attacks. I think that's not too bad. And then Hymn of the Martyrs. Friendly creatures generate +1 focus points whenever they take damage. I like that. I love focus points. I love playing around with focus points. It just feels good to me. So we're going to go for that. And we're going to go through this portal and we find an abandoned outpost. If we take this abandoned outpost, it will transform into a city of our starting faction, which is really, really cool. So in other Heroes games, it might be predetermined what a certain castle or city is going to be in a certain spot. Even if it's random from game to game, the beginning of the game, it's going to roll that specific faction, city, or castle. Here, whoever defeats this abandoned outpost first is going to make this abandoned outpost whatever type of castle they are. So we're going to take this as soon as possible. Boop. Any losses? Oh my goodness, I've never seen these creatures before. What in the world? I've never seen these creatures before. We have to attack. Who are you? Oh, cool. It's Sylvan creatures. In the version I've played, I've never seen Sylvan creatures before. This is the level 1 fawn. This is from the Sylvan faction. Ranged creatures, they got parry, meaning that they will counterattack before the enemy attacks lands, which is really cool. And there's the base level unit, Fawn, and then the upgraded version, Fawn Warrior. These ones, compared to their little Fawn friends, they've got additional damage, additional defense, additional damage range. Their initiative is 7 versus 5, and their speed is from 2 to 4. Wow, big upgrade there. Big upgrade. And they do melee damage instead of a ranged attack. They do have the counterattack, and then they also have this ability, Nature's Fury. It deals +2 damage and increases speed by 2 until the end of the round. Very cool. I think that you're going to see a lot of these tactics. I think it's going to be very valuable to get a mix of tier 1 creatures and split. Some ranged, some just heavy-handed damage dealing. I think that is going to be something that we see in Olden Era quite a bit of anyway. We'll take out the fawns. Sorry. I know that they didn't do anything to deserve that, but I want this abandoned outpost. It's mine. We've won the day. We've defeated the tier 1 creatures, and we've taken Ray's Edge as a new castle for us. And look at this, folks. They've got an artifact merchant. I don't think I've ever used this before. It looks like I can purchase things like the Dragonbone Greaves, Rags, Plate Armor, Lifeblood Fairy, Music Sheet, and Orb of Inhibition. So Dragonbone Greaves, it looks like those are part of the Power of the Dragon Father big artifact pool. +1 spell power, +1 knowledge, pretty good. That's a good artifact, especially for like an offensively geared hero like mine is. Not too bad. The Rags for the Pauper's Glory. Okay, we already know what that does. We've seen that before. Plate Armor, +3 defense, and this is a smaller piece of the bigger Knight's Honor artifact chain. It looks like if you get another piece to that, you'll have increased morale and luck. Very nice. Cool. Lifeblood Fairy, +1 HP to all creatures, reminiscent of the Ring of Life from Heroes of Might and Magic 3, or the Lifeblood for +2 to the HP. Very interesting there. Okay. Music Sheet, abilities of friendly creatures deal +50% bonus damage. This is an epic item, which is really nifty, and it's a part of a bigger artifact chain, Inner Song. So when having 3 items, it sounds like friendly creatures use abilities and it doesn't end the turn. Oh my goodness. Wow. Is that an epic item or what? That is nuts. That is great. I love that. Okay. And then last, Orb of Inhibition. On the first round of the battle, heroes cannot use their spellbook and active abilities. And that's kind of cool. This Orb of Inhibition is not like throughout the duration of the entire battle like it potentially is in other Heroes games. It does completely negate any spell casting in that first round or special abilities. That's really cool. That's really, wow. I like that. I like that. I think that's a good nuanced approach to a powerful artifact that is also limited and not broken, not super overpowered. But then again, I mean, compare that to this one. I mean, this seems broken. That seems broken. That seems, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We don't have nearly enough gold or resources to trade for any of these. I suppose I could get these Dragonbone Greaves. If I was to sell, hold on. How does this work? How do I sell? Where's my stuff? I think I have to take these out of my actual hero and put them into my inventory in order to be able to sell them. Yeah, you can't sell artifacts unless they're not currently on your hero. So I don't really want to sell anything, but that's good information to have if you're trying to sell something. But if I'm just clicking here real quick, I don't have anything for my feet. Let's get something nifty for my feet. Like, where'd it go? There it goes. Whoop. Now my feet aren't cold anymore. Very good. Very good. It's the little things in life that you treasure. There's also a Mage Guild here, which is really nice. For the first time, I'm going to try to do something just to make sure that you can see this for yourself. But I really like Web. Web is like a slow. It decreases the enemy's speed by 2. And we don't currently have access to slow, to this Web ability. And so if we click on it, hold on, if we shift click on it, right click on it, I thought we could purchase it. Hold on. I feel like I can purchase these spells in the other version of the game. Hold on, no, I've definitely done that. I'm not misremembering. In the demo, am I not allowed to purchase the spells that I want in the Mage Guild but didn't show up? There is a way to do that. I'm a little bit concerned, actually. Maybe I need to have... No, I don't know what the deal is. It was actually one of my favorite things that you could actually... Okay, click spell icon to unlock or upgrade it. Maybe I don't have enough resources. Maybe I don't have enough alchemical dust. I'll bet you I don't have enough alchemical dust. But if you don't have the... If you don't have... I need to know how much I need. So let me actually see if I can trade a lot of alchemical dust. And if I can finally unlock that. That might not be as intuitive as I might like. Here? No. Here? No. Ah. Well, okay, fine. Click spell icon to unlock or upgrade it. Yeah, I want to upgrade it. Maybe it's not going to let me upgrade it because it's the tutorial. I'm going to assume that that's the case. Instead, let's do this. Let's go to this lightning bolt spell, which we now have. And for 25 alchemical dust, we can upgrade it to level 2. So each subsequent upgrade costs additional resources, and this will make the lightning bolt damage do even more. I'm going to upgrade this, so now it's a level 2 spell. And if I wanted to upgrade it one more time, I could indicate that the damage per spell power is going to go from 5 to 10, and so it'll scale really, really nicely. We've increased the base damage twice, and now if I upgraded it one more time, it would scale off of my spell power much better. So anyway, we just showed that we could do that. We do have Second Wind available to us. We do have Shadow Flight available to us. Maybe not. Hero must be at least level 3. We should have access to that. Hold on. Yeah, so we've got Ground Sight, Second Wind, Gate of Light, Shadow Flight, Read Minds. Ground Sight is kind of nifty. You click on that and then you can see through the fog of war, you can see any creatures that are known to you. If there was like a neutral creature right here, we could see them. We could see like their outline. So it's kind of a nifty spell like that. You've got your Second Wind. So right now we got 72 movement points. If I pass that, we go from 72 up to 92. So just a nifty way of getting some additional movement points. Read Minds shows the precise number and intentions of all neutral creatures within 24 squares of the hero. That's kind of cool if you're trying to use diplomacy really well and get creatures to join your army. Shadow Flight, this does allow you to freely move through any obstacles on the global map. So if how many spell points do I have? It looks like I've got 46. I'm going to click this Shadow Flight. If I wanted to, you got to see where you can land. You got to see where you can land. Hold on. Why can't I move? John Johnson? Have we found a bug? John Johnson? I want you to move, sir. He's not moving. John Johnson is stuck. We got 92 movement points, but we're officially stuck. No, we found a bug. What did I do? Okay, we're gonna try this Gate of Light though. Gate of Light, within this little hex, you can throw down this gate. What the heck? My left clicks are not working the way I would anticipate. All right, is this a user error? Folks, is this a user error? Fixfox user error or Fixfox game-breaking bug? You decide. You decide. I can't even navigate back to my castles here. Whoop. Broke the game. That's okay. If I break the game again and again and again, at least we know that we had fun breaking the game. Okay, let me get caught up on chat and then I'll see if I can resolve this, but we might have to go back to like an autosave. I don't know if there is an autosave, but we are so very close to our final goal that it actually doesn't hurt my feelings if we don't actually complete the tutorial, because there's nothing else that this battle is really going to teach us except what castle fights look like. But anyway, it'll be fine. Okay, let's go back to chat and just make sure we're on the same page. Back to where we were. Oh, yes, and the Barbarian faction. So Titans are requested from all of you, and also a Barbarian faction. I think that the Barbarian faction is a must. You must have it at the time that the game releases for full play. Early access and you don't have Barbarians, okay, fine. But you must have the Barbarians eventually. You must. Simply must be. Tundar does believe that Olden Era is going to take up all their time. I think you're going to have a fun time. And Soren Denmark's like, does that mean that there's no more Sandro maps? Of course, if you don't know, Tundar is an avid map maker in the F-Heroes 2 community, so hopefully they will still spend a little bit of time on some of their other pursuits. Tundar does have a Luna map coming, and so yeah, we're going to have to see what maps they make for Olden Era in the future. Very excited. Very excited. Bearded Man says, 2-star. Of course, Star noted that they missed the wizards. The Titans are absolute legends. They're one of the most iconic creatures in the game. They're so stern. They're so powerful. I could not agree anymore with you. I think that is absolutely true. And if you've been around since Heroes 2, since the second iteration of the game, missing out on any of those creatures is actually a big loss, I believe. I believe it's a big loss. So anyway, there I am. Yep, everybody's agreeing. New ranged units for Angels. Rangers. Boreaser says ranged angels? Rangels? Rangers? It all makes sense. Yes, Boreaser, the angels are ranged, and so therefore we're gonna now call them the Rangels. I like that. That's pretty cute. I like that. We'll go with that. Rangels is one of the best shorthands I've ever heard, and refuse to call Olden Era Angels by any other way, Bearded Man says. Bearded Man, you're completely correct. From here on out, we're gonna use our Rangels as effectively as we can. Tundar does like the music. Very good, very good. And yeah, very happy that everybody's enjoying all of this game. Good stuff. Star says, oh no, John's horse is stuck. Yes, John's horse is completely stuck. Bearded Man wonders if this is a network error. Soren Denmark says we broke the game. Save, reload. We'll have to see. Maybe casting flight in the castle entrance is what did it. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what really took this, but what if I just end turn? It's highlighting but not clicking. I don't think this is a mouse error. What if I hit E for end? Enter? Spacebar? Escape? Okay, at least I can hit escape to get back to here. What if I continue now? Nope. 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 Okay, at least I can get back into a castle now. What if I end turn from here? Are you sure you want to end your turn? Yes, I do. Of course I do. And now hopefully that weird special effect is gone. Oh no, look at this. Okay, good. Good. Folks, we did it. We saved it. When in doubt, click on buttons and see what works. We did it. We saved it. We're alive. But I don't think that that was a user error. I think that that was a bug that was unintentional. So we're going to have to make a report on that. In fact, does anybody want to make a report with me? Bug. Could not move with hero. Left clicks were not working after casting flight while in a castle at the final castle before the end in the tutorial. Wow, that is not very clear for whoever's looking at that. Left clicks were not working for movement, end turn, entering into a castle, etc. until we went to the main menu. and try it again. Menu. Eventually got into a castle. Ended turn from the castle page. Next day, everything was fine. Ciao. Fix Fox and stream. There you guys go. Thank you. I got to give you all credit because y'all actually helped with that out a lot. Yeah. If anything, it's really nice that we didn't panic. Y'all are needing the credit because you helped make sure that I didn't panic. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Okay, cool. Try to duplicate it. Haha. Let's see if we can duplicate it. Shadowflight. I'm trying to go over here. Rise to Ruin, we duplicated it. Look at this, we did it. Okay, but we can go back in here. But you see, like when you're in a castle and you cast Shadowflight, yeah, you're just stuck. That hero is stuck in the castle. Nifty, cool. Way to go, Rise to Ruin. Good stuff, folks. We are helping the Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era project out immensely. Does it work when you're on the open adventure map? You broke it again. Yeah, I broke it again. But I can't end turn this time. Last time I couldn't end turn, but now I can. Now I can go out. Am I misreading Shadowflight? Hero flies and can move freely through any objects on the global map. Yeah, no, that's just a fly ability. Like if I cast it here, I should be able to just go here directly. Maybe not. Maybe not. Look at this. I can't click anywhere. John Johnson, I click Shadowflight and I can't go anywhere. Huh. Interesting. Well, I'm going to hit end turn again because it looks like once you end your turn, the Shadowflight no longer is a problem. Let's do this Gate of Light, though, for the first time. Why is Gate of Light not working either? This is nifty. No, it's not just a Shadowflight problem, Star VT. I think that this is also broken because look at this, because now I'm trying to do my Shadowflight. I can't even right click to drag and move my screen. I can still scroll in this direction. Can I click on castles? I can't even click on castles. I can't even click on castles right now. So first it was the Shadowflight, and now it's this. I can't get into John Johnson. I can't get up to here. I can't end turn. Hotkeys for end turn not working. Let's go to escape. Enter. Okay, so we ended turn. When you end turn, it's all good to go. So maybe just, yeah, Star asks, maybe just movement spells in general. Maybe just movement spells in general. Maybe Shadowflight overall is broken, or rather it doesn't work in specific regions. You know what? Hold on. Region specific. Region specific. So folks, look, so we have captured this region. We've captured this region. We've captured this region. It's more than likely, I'm guessing that that's correct. I'm guessing that in this region, it's grayed out, meaning that you are not in control of it and you can't cast adventure map objects in there or adventure map spells. I'm guessing that's what it is. It's just weird that when I try to cast it, that then I can't get out of it. I had to end turn in order to not screw this up anymore. Okay, yeah, so now when I'm in an area I can control, I can hit Gate of Light here. I can make my cute little Gate of Light and I can path through it and it'll pop me out right over here. And it's a 1 day infinite use little portal from here to there. Likewise with Shadowflight. Yeah, likewise with Shadowflight. Oh, that's cool. Likewise with Shadowflight, it'll work in this area I kind of control. Did you notice? I tried to go here. It will path you through an open portal. I knew that that worked with these portals that are solid in the game. I did not know that you would automatically portal through, or rather you would path through portals to get as far as you can, as quickly as you can. The game just automatically recognizes, nope, that's the quickest way to get from here to there. Very cool. I'm learning a lot today. Are you learning a lot today? I'm having fun learning an awful lot today. There's a lot of things I do know about Olden Era, but isn't it so nice to know that there's still a lot of things that we're still trying to figure out? That feels great. That feels great. Majuro, thank you for being here. Appreciate having you here. Cheers. Cheers. Nice to see you there. It's a pleasure. Soren says maybe it's because of the tutorial. I've seen the game in Dimension Door. Yeah, I'm guessing it's because of zones. So I click Z or I go up to here. Yeah, I'm guessing it's got to be because of area borders. That's why there's some limitations on some casting. I got 12 movement points. Okay, I got 12 movement points. And so he's out of movement points. We're just going to hit end turn, and we're just going to carry on. Very cool. Star Axis, or rather Magic Wheel for +1 spell power. We know what that is. We're going to pick up all of our spell points here at this Magic Well. Fully restores all of our mana. We're going to go through here to this Pandora's Box. The first time we're going to see the Pandora's Box, the enemy wants to run. We're not going to let them. Our angels are too strong, too powerful. We're going to pick up 10,000 experience from this Pandora's Box. Very lovely. I'm going to take the basic offense. I'm going to take the Expert Primal Magic because it's going to make my primal spells hit even harder. And we can either do +1 to all of our primal spells, or we can say that hero and friendly creatures deal 50% more damage with lucky strikes. I prefer to just take the primal here, the primal spell power. Do note, though, that some of these bonuses and these secondary skills, these sub-skills, they do have some synergies with other things. For example, if we had battle magic, then this chaos range ability would actually do even better for us. You do want to think about that in advance, I do believe. So more strategy to be had there. And folks, for the first time, we're going to come to the Pit of Glory, which allows you to upgrade each visiting hero's creatures for gold. So we can go from cavalry up to noble cavalry or the Sunspear cavalry. I think I've identified, I forget which one it is. One of them is just way better in my opinion. Which one is it? Noble cavalry get a little bit more initiative, a little bit more damage. Sunspear cavalry are more like tanky and stats based. Jousting bonus, inspiring, piercing strike. Whenever this creature gains a positive effect, its attack increases by 2 until the end of the battle. Versus the charge ability. If you want the charge ability, you're going to want the noble cavalry. Do I want to pay the gold? I think I do. I got plenty of gold right now. We're going to upgrade 17 cavalry into the noble cavalry. We're going to take our inquisitors. We can go into Mother Superiors or excommunicators. Mother Superiors are more tanky with the HP and the defense. They got a new special ability. No, they have no new special ability. They do generate additional focus points while taking damage. Very good. And it's the excommunicators that have this new special ability where they can modify their attack and do tons of damage around them, and it will dispel positive effects from whatever creatures they attack. That's pretty cool. I'm going to take just the Mother Superiors for the more straightforward types of attacking. It feels like if you have too many creatures that you really want to use your focus points for, you might want to consider what creatures you have in your army and what focus points you're going to plan on using in the future. Let's make sure that we get our angels upgraded. I'm going to read all of this. So base level up to Archangel, there's additional attack, additional speed, and additional initiative. Very, very good. Still a ranged enemy, but they're a sharpshooter. So the Archangels will do full damage at range, wherever they're at. They do have the Forging Perfection ability where they have all the special abilities applied to other creatures, also applied to them. They have the Refract and Reflect special ability, like the Angels, where they're able to take whatever buffs they have and give them to another creature. And then they also have this new special ability, Devouring Chalice. It dispels all positive effects from enemies within a 1 hex radius area from a chosen hex and applies them to this creature. So the Archangels can eat magic from somebody else and put it on themselves and apply it to themselves, which is pretty cool. Pretty costly, tier 2 ability, but pretty cool. And then I think that this creature is actually way better. How do you say this? Apotheosis? The Apotheosis has oodles of HP, defense, attack, speed, initiative. I feel like they are more the damage dealing types of creatures. These ones have no melee penalty at range, or rather no melee penalty in close quarters combat, but they don't do full damage at range. They do have the Forging Perfection, but they do also have this Purity Aura. This creature and adjacent friendly creatures are immune to all negative effects. Folks, this might be a time where you dismiss your swordsmen or your griffins or, I don't know, your lightweavers, and you have one Archangel and one of these Apotheosis. And then you just want this special passive ability from one so it can impact the other one. Maybe you have this along with the Sun Aegis, and you're just taking reduced damage and you're not being affected by negative spells. That could be really good. That could be a really good defensive combo that could win you a lot of games, I think. As far as which is better, I do like the idea of getting additional health. It feels like this creature is a little bit easier to use because they have better passive abilities, and I like that they're a duelist, so they can do full damage at any point. So we're going to go with them for now. We are going to go for the... Am I out of gold? No, I got tons of gold. We're going to go from guard captains up to the Sun Aegis. We've already talked about that. For the first time, we're going to look at the Griffin upgrade. This is the Temple Griffin. Temple Griffins have endless counterattacks, and they do have that Valiant Cry, which increases their attack skill and initiative, except it's double the effect of the lower level Griffins. So Temple Griffins, they're very much a offensive sort of creature because their initiative goes way up, their speed goes way up. And you compare Temple Griffins to the Guardian Griffins. Guardian Griffins are a bit slower. Yeah, only 5 speed as opposed to 6 speed. And they also have counterattacks only twice per round, but they do have this loyal protector ability, so that anytime that one of your enemies is attacked, if they're adjacent, then you will also attack with the Griffins, which is really cool. So again, kind of like a more defensive option versus offensive option is the way I kind of look at that. Defensive with Guardian Griffins, offensive with the Temple Griffins. I'm going to go with the Temple Griffins for now. And then for Light Weavers, we have this upgrade. We can go for the Hierophant, which is going to be more of the spellcaster. So defense and attack is going to go up a little bit, but really this is for the spellcasting ability. They've got the Holy Abulation special ability, which dispels all negative effects from a friendly creature and fully restores their HP. So pretty darn good. Pretty good special ability. And you compare that to the Sun Herald. The Sun Herald's stats are better across the board. And they have this Exaltation special ability. The target friendly creature deals max damage. That could be very, very useful, especially for your Angels, where they, let's see, do they have a range of damage? Thought that they did. Yeah, I think that they do. So anyway, you got your choices here. Anointed for damage. Whenever this creature gains a positive effect, it gains +1 damage until the end of battle. So yeah, this Sun Herald is more an offensive choice. I'm going to take the more supporting spellcaster stance and just go in that direction. So we got Noble Cavalry, Mother Superiors, Temple Griffins, Sun Aegis, Marksmen, the Apotheosis, and the Hierophants. That's what we're going to go for. That is going to be our army. But folks, we were able to... Uh-oh, that's annoying. I can't click out of this because here, this is overlapping. Let me just hit enter. Whoops. Nope, that's not it. If I try and click on this X, it toggles this main quest instead. If I hit the caret, though, the whole thing will pop up, and then I can hit that, and then I can get out of that. So I remember that that was a problem on the other version as well. I tried to leave some feedback. I guess it didn't make it so far. And as we've just leveled up, folks, we're going to go for this Expert Ascension. So that if stacks of creatures die, we're going to have increased HP and damage. And we're going to do this. I like this one. Cling to Life. Friendly creatures will ascend upon their death, and so if they die, there's going to be a small stack of the creatures with 10% of the original HP that will stay until the end of the round. Basically, it's like their last chance to do some damage before they do leave. This is not like a resurrection. These forces that stick around are not going to stick with you into the duration of the end of the fight and beyond, but it's a good way of getting some additional damage off, 10% of the original damage as a secondary kind of sub-skill. Feels pretty good. The alternative would be that stacks fully restore their HP when somebody dies. You could totally tactically play with that. You could have a couple of Angels and single stacks of the Swordsman, and you can sacrifice the Swordsman one by one by one by one by one, and you could keep Angels alive maybe infinitely. But anyway, things to think about, things I've noticed. Okay. The other two heroes, we're not going to use them at the moment. We're going to go for the +2 on the spell power. This is from the 4 Scholars Observatory. Pay some gold and you can get either knowledge or spell power. And then here, pay gold for either attack or defense. This is going to be from the Pauper Knight Order. 4 Scholars Observatory, Pauper Knight Order. Positive stats in exchange for gold. Very good. And folks, we have come upon the enemy Taurus. 6 attack, 6 defense, 6 spell power, 6 knowledge. They are a necromancer of some renown. For the first time, we will go into a siege combat. Siege combat is different than the normal battlefield, and we do have to deal with this catapult here. As an attacker, your goal is to destroy defensive walls in order to reach the enemy creatures. Catapult can be used to destroy defensive structures. As a defender, your task is to repel the enemy's attack, either by forcing them to flee or face defeat. A variety of defensive structures like walls, towers, moats, and more will aid you in your defense. So they're going to have turrets that fight us. We're going to have a catapult that tries to get us in there. And I haven't quite figured out the catapult, actually, because here it is. Do a catapult salvo. Like, obviously I want to, right? Like, that just makes sense. And then it takes some time to, like, I'm just like confused why it why you have to manually do this. You would think that the catapult would just like work on its own. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But our new fancy upgraded troops are up against some skeleton archers. For the first time, we see the level 2 tier whites who are flying and have this special ability where they convert hit points into health for themselves, like the ghost from Heroes Might and Magic 2, for example. The undead pets, which are the level 3 creatures that do some good melee damage. Their upgrades are pretty hard hitting if you can get them. And yeah, looks like these forces shouldn't be too much to deal with. Let's see what spells the enemy wants to cast at us in just a second. And let's make sure that we cast something we've never cast before. We could do the fireball. I think that would be really effective here. But instead, let me do this cool crystal crown ability. Place up to 3 crystal objects. Boop, boop, boop. I just provided defense for the archers. Fix Fox, that's not tactically a good idea. Yeah, I know. But I did it anyway. I could do my ranged damage with my angels, right? But I think if I fly over the wall, it's actually going to be better for me. I've got enough flying creatures. I think I can handle these guys without trying to do damage from afar. And I believe that the marksmen are still going to do full damage, even though there's a wall. Yes, it looks like that's not a problem. So I'm going to take out these well-defended archers. Yeah, the well-defended archers are now dead. The 20 whites barely even tickled my angels, which feels great. And it looks like the griffins are immediately going to retaliate and take out most of these undead pets. By the way, even though I've got good morale and luck that's available to me, I do not have, the necromancers don't have that. Necromancer forces, the undead are not beholden to morale and luck and things like that. Okay, I'm going to just defend here. I'm going to attack. I'll take out this one creature. We've got clearly the overwhelming force here, but I do want to use this Forging Perfection. I just want to show how this works. It's the idea of if I cast a buffing spell on somebody, that the angels also get the buffing spell. Yeah, so I cast it over here on the marksman. The angels now have the blessing as well, which is kind of nifty. I'll defend here. Griffins will attack. And right in your face, these angels are going to clean up these final 30 skeleton archers. Folks, it wasn't too big of a fight, but this was our major goal. The objects has been captured, and we have now claimed victory with 3 temple castles and this one necromancer bastion of hope. It's been taken out. So folks, that was the tutorial. We just completed the entire tutorial, had a lot of fun doing it. And I hope that this was useful for you. Hopefully I didn't over-explain more than was necessary. Hopefully if this is something that you're brand new to, this was something that was useful for you. But in general, this is a great tutorial. And again, you can find this demo yourself. Go find it, go play it, go enjoy it, and play the game at your own pace. Again, I've got about 40 hours in the game. And so I know enough that maybe I'm not explaining it quite right. Maybe I think I know what I'm doing, but maybe I'm not. Go explore this for yourself. Go have tons of fun with this. I think that Olden Era with this demo is great, and it's a good sign of things to come. You might not enjoy it. It might not be your favorite thing, and that's totally reasonable, totally fine. But you're not going to know until you try. So go give it a look and see if you like it or not. In the future, I think that these new side missions are going to be available to us. It looks like we could actually start them right now if we wanted to. Right now, we're not going to. Right now, we're going to skip into something else. We're going to go into a single-player campaign or a single-player scenario against an AI on apocalyptic resources and apocalyptic enemies. But before we do that, I do want a 5-minute break, so that way I can collect myself, get caught up on chat, and then go from there. So let's get caught up on chat, and we'll go from there.